Morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome. We're back with Bill Cooper, and I'm back with the lovely Digger. How you doing, Digger?
Hello, I am doing wonderful. I am glad we are going no camera though, because it is so hot here right now. Um, I'm definitely pantser prison right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's brutal.
that's the only way to do it. But yeah, no, like so here in lovely Southeast Michigan, we're allegedly getting the remnants of Beryl. So it's been forecast rain for like 7 straight days now. And Beryl is going right over the top of us, like hardcore, right over the top of us. And we
Ooh,
still haven't got a drop of rain. So, as you can imagine, the humidity and the pressure is so entirely ridiculous
yeah.
that,
I
you
I
know,
can't imagine.
I'm thinking about drilling a hole to release some of the pressure. But Dazzer says that won't work for me. So,
No, he would know. He would definitely know about humidity.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's been insane. And like if you look at the map, if you look at the weather map, like all of Southeast Michigan is just covered in like dark green and not a drop of rain. Like it's dry as a bone.
Oh.
So are you over 88 with 39% humidity? No, I haven't checked recently, but like we've been pretty hot. We've been like mid 90s with ridiculous humidity. Probably, I don't know, probably 70-80% humidity, if not more. So it's
Wow.
been it's bad. It's bad.
See,
Uh,
I moved from the coast because of the humidity. It kills me. My health issues. I need the dry heat. So right now, 5:36 p.m. my time over on the West Coast, it is what you guys would think of as 104 Fahrenheit.
Holy
So
shit.
5:30, yeah, almost
Wow.
5:40 in the evening, and it's 104 degrees, and it's going to be hotter tomorrow. So
Damn.
yeah, but
Like,
it's only 17% humidity, so it's nice.
yeah, that's not bad. Like Vegas hit a record high temperature, 100 and I think 122 or something like that.
Ooh,
So,
nice,
yeah,
nice.
it's been nutty. But thanks to climate change, climate's getting worse.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's exactly what's at fault.
Speaking
We're
of
losing
climate
our
change,
fire. We lose our fire bans. Sorry, we lose our fire bans on Friday. No more
oh,
fires
okay.
as of Friday. So yeah, lovely summertime fun.
Awesome. Well, I'm
Yeah,
glad that they schedule your fires and they don't just happen organically. I know what you're
there's
talking about.
that.
I'm just being a dick.
There is
Um,
that.
uh, so speaking of climate change, the commander in chief of climate change, since that's the greatest existential threat to the United States, is at NATO right now, and there are some just gems coming out of that.
Oh,
Uh, one of the best thing I've seen so far, and I watched the actual speech, so this is not taken out of context. This is not a cheap fake, deep fake, Biden fake, whatever. Listen to what he calls the NATO, I don't know what the hell they call him, president. Let's just say president, NATO president. This is actual what he called him.
And intellectual rigor.
That's what he just called him to introduce him. Of course, I cut the clip down, but then he will come in from stage left there. One more time if you
now,
didn't hear it the first time. So, oh, go ahead.
well, no, you go ahead first, and then I'll ask.
Okay,
And intellectual rigor.
you heard that.
See, yeah, a wigger. Do you
Yeah.
guys? Is that like your version of a whip or something?
No. So it is a white version of the N word
Okay, well,
in
that's what
America.
I thought it meant, but I thought
Yes.
maybe there was a more proper term for it.
No, it's
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So like
Oh,
obviously
I
you
want
pack
to
the
see this man now. I'm imagining oh, what's his face in the SNL? Good afternoon, fellow students. And
I think
he's the old dude.
I I think I have
Oh,
the whole clip up. Give me 1 second and I'll find it.
that's so much fun.
I mean, he's
NATO
just
is
trying to
being
atone
run.
for his, you know,
Oh man.
his poor showing at the black church he just went to. So here's the full clip, the 12 seconds.
So much of the progress we made in the alliance is thanks to the Secretary. He's a man of integrity and intellectual rigor, a calm temperament in a moment of crisis.
I mean, he kind of looks like it.
We made in the
Let's
alliance
not
is
kid.
thanks to the Secretary. He's a man of integrity
I don't
and
know what this
intellectual
guy says.
rigor, a calm temperament in a moment of crisis.
Calm
Calm
temperament
sentiment and a
in crisis. Yeah. Steve Buscemi, thank you, Stingy, coming in hot. That's the one. Or Buscemi, yeah. You know what? You throw a backwards baseball cap on him and a couple of gold chains.
Yeah.
He could be. He could be.
He could rock it out. Like, I mean, people could be whatever they want to be. It's 2024 and a half.
We have got a transgender woman who is now like a male is what they are really, is a male, but transgender woman was in court because they assaulted real women in the women's shelter they allowed it to come into.
Oh.
Yeah, multiple people. Now he's been sentenced and he's gone to jail, but now he says he's a cat.
Wow.
So all I saw was that headline, and it was Rebel News, so you take it with a large grain of salt. But I mean, I followed the case up to the point where he was jailed for having assaulted women who were at a women's shelter because they allowed her to stay there too.
It's a great idea. That is a fantastic idea. That makes women, men,
things. Yeah. And now it's a cat now. So I don't know what is it asking for a litter box in its cell. I have no idea. All I saw was the headline, and that was more than enough for me.
What's up, Max Amara?
Hey, Max.
How you doing, buddy?
How do you do, fellow kids? Yes, exactly. Hi, Chris. How you doing?
What's up, Chris? I don't. Max is responsible, and big thank you to Max for suggesting the short that I recently posted. If you haven't seen it yet, 5,000 people have. So what the fuck are you doing?
But what the fuck is up with me? Yeah,
I know, right? But it's a good one, and that is all because of Max. It was all his idea. So thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
And to finalize Upside Down World before we get back to Bill, this is I don't watch CNN, but there were no community notes. I saw other clips related to it, and I think this is an accurate clip. Okay. I think this is an accurate collection of clips. Now, it is selectively edited, but I think this is accurate, and these words actually came out of this man's mouth. I don't know why they closed captioned it so oddly, but it's pretty shocking, so I get it. But I just wanted to go through this 2 minutes of what the fuck is going on in this world right now. This is CNN.
Hi, Linda. Hi, Jazzer.
Hey, what's up, Linda? What's up, Daz?
In reality, 72% of voters say that they believe President Biden is too old. That's according to CNN's most recent polling. Voters have been saying this for quite a long time.
Yep.
The reality is that the Democratic elites are mostly late to acknowledge these age and ability issues compared to the rest of the public. The elites have been forced to reckon with it after the debate just 11 days ago.
Look at my career.
Okay, so that's the first one. And
hold on. Yeah. Oh shit! Now I've lost it, but it was. Oh, damn it! That's the problem with having a fibro fog for a brain. I've lost it already. Keep going. Damn it.
All right. We shall continue. Okay. But even that one is just incredible that they're admitting that. But it gets better.
I've not had many of those nights. It was a terrible night, and I really regret it happened. But the fact of the matter is, how can you assure you're going to be on Faith That Can Intervene on your way to go to work tomorrow. Age wasn't, the idea I'm too old.
The fact of the matter is, how can you assure you're going to be out on, on your way to go, work tomorrow? Age wasn't, the idea that I'm too old. Keep in mind, that soundbite is supposed to be reassuring to those Democratic supporters who have gone wobbly.
Oh, I remember. Okay, yeah. Democratic supporters and Democratic elite. The reason they're late, with air quotes, to the party to acknowledging his illness is because they knew it all along, and they've been using him as a puppet, and they've been pulling his strings. So they let it go as long as they could, and now they're going, ooh, we didn't notice.
Right.
Liars.
Yeah, it is. But it's still shocking to see CNN, of all people, admitting it. So, like, when you hear somebody who's has their faculties in order, say back his words. Just say back his words. It is so absurd that you're like, what the hell is going on? So,
in my personal opinion, this is totally my opinion. No one else shares it. Me talking out my ass. But the writing was on the wall, and Trump is going to win. So they either JFK him, or they have to get behind the idea that Trump is a winner for this roundabout. So what I think that means is Trump will win, and he will be allowed to do his second term. He works for team, in my opinion, Team Rothschild and co. Whereas, Biden and Obama, Clintons and all that, they are much more of the CPP or CCP rather faction. So I think the Asian faction has had to give up a little bit of control to the Rothschild faction, and Rothschilds are going to get their president for another 4 years. So it's in the grand scheme of things, the globalist agenda is still going to go forward. Nothing's really going to change. It's just going to slow down just enough for you guys to feel like, whew, we're getting things back on track. But you're never going to get it all back on track. He's going to keep going with the globalist thing. But I can pretty much guarantee you, when he gets elected, before he's even sworn into office, I bet you anything, Putin and like Russia, Ukraine, over with. Israel's going to shut up, back off, or else Gaza Strip is going to be turned into a wasteland. But I don't see Trump, who is run on I never started a war. I don't see him allowing Israel to just take out the Palestine. So I think he's going to make sure that there's an agreement, again, air quotes, an agreement that's going to keep a harsh truce in between the two. But I think they've realized that he's the winner, and they cannot get away with another JFK. Not with Trump. Trump's too big.
Yeah,
which is scary, because he's bigger than JFK. Or maybe it's just that they can't pull it. They know that they cannot pull off a JFK again, because cameras are everywhere now. There's no way they could pull off that sort of an event.
Yeah, I mean, it would be incredibly difficult to do. Not that they couldn't, but
well, look at all the film and pictures that we have for JFK. There's a whole ton, and now everyone's got cameras and video recorders in their pockets.
Right.
So it would be
Trump's on camera really everywhere difficult. He goes.
Exactly. So I think it would be darn near impossible to pull that ploy again. Yeah. So I think they have to just sit back and take the L and allow him to do what he needs to do.
Well, I think they're gonna blame Biden pretty heavily, and
for sure.
I think this is all part of the plan, so they can kind of circle the wagons. They have a much better chance in 2028. Just fuck it, we're gonna give Trump his go. Yeah, he's not gonna be able to do much anyways.
Exactly.
Neo, I heard something today. I saw something today and it was reported and then rescinded by a major source that it was Dr. Ben Carson. But then it was then rescinded very, very quickly, and I cannot find it because I had it queued up. And then it was gone, and I cannot find it. But it was Dr. Ben Carson. So for what it's worth, and he's been one of the shortlist candidates for the office. So we'll continue taking a look at it. We'll continue trying to figure it out and see. We should know pretty quick. Convention is coming up, isn't it? I think it's
it was in August, I thought. Because the convention happened like the weekend or 2 weekends before Matsuri, I thought.
So I thought it was the 11th, and then I was looking at the date. I'm like, there's no way in hell. And I wasn't far off. It's the 15th. So
okay.
Of July. So it is 6 days away. So
okay then.
Yeah.
This will be fun.
Yeah. So of course I'll be covering a lot of that. Uncle Donnie is down in Doral at Doral Country Club or his golf club or whatever, giving a speech right now. So
nice.
It's just a normal campaign speech. There hasn't been anything crazy. So well, according to Barnes, picking Carson would mean Trump didn't make a deal with the establishment. I don't think he's going to.
You know what?
I don't think he's going to.
Barnes, I've lost a lot of respect for Barnes. And I don't think he is near as knowledgeable as he lets people think he is. Because he said some really stupid things about Rekieta, and you can't say such things unless either you're bought and paid for someone, but who would buy and pay for Barnes on Rekieta, right? Like that doesn't make any sense. So that means he's stupid or willfully ignorant. Either which way doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
He went right down.
I will respectfully stay out of anything having to do with that individual. I'm not even going to mention the name, just because I don't want the firestorm. I have my opinions, and I will keep them to my damn self.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I completely understand where you're coming from. There's been a lot of changes in opinion, right? Of people. Across the board, and I'll leave it at that. So
the real world and the YouTube world, we've all taken. It's interesting. It's almost like CERN turned on the machine for a moment or two and then turned it back off, because it's like the recently. Whole world. Oh, did they?
Yeah. Well, about a month and a half ago, maybe 6 weeks ago. Yeah.
Because all of a sudden on any platform or the world stage. Anywhere you look, there's just been a whole kind of, I don't know, upheaval. Nothing super major, but just change has coming. So I don't know.
It's going to be fuckery here coming up, and as we get closer to November. I've been saying that for forever.
Oh yeah.
But
I can't wait to see just how MAGA the Dems are going to become all of a sudden. Yeah. They don't want to keep Kamala. They don't. I can't see them wanting to run with her, and Newsome. I don't see it.
Well, I'm starting to think more and more that that creepy Uncle Joe is gonna stick around, but and I didn't think so. I nearly put money on him resigning yesterday, and Dazzer talked me out of it. Thank you, buddy. But. So, and there was some information coming out today, but to see places, and we'll get back to this, but to see places like CNN doing this kind of shit is just crazy. Neo, I can see that from that perspective, but I try to keep an open ear on other perspectives. Yeah, I think it's always important.
Me too. Yeah. I just, it's not just him. I've taken a whole lot of grains of salt recently, and I'm not speaking on YouTube stuff. I'm like in the world. There's a whole lot of stuff that I'm seeing all of a sudden that I didn't see, 4 months ago. So Hi, Captain. How you doing? Yes, it's my fault that the Captain Curran has come. He's tired, so he's just going to sit here. But yes, welcome. And hello, AP. Good to see you, buddy.
The entire planet is having some weird shit happening. Yeah, like the French
Exactly.
election. Somebody fucking explain that to me. Like,
Okay.
I still don't understand it.
Well, that's the thing. I don't understand either, because according to all our media, their version of our liberals or your Democrats has won, and they're kicking ass and taking names. But as far as any poll that I've seen or election result that I've seen, it's actually the conservatives who have kind of won in a sweeping, not quite a landslide, but from my understanding, it's the conservative parties that are now having power. They've got minority government, I thought.
Well, Macron is staying in power. So this is my best understanding of it. And I have no understanding of it. So take everything I say and just throw it out the window. But apparently Le Pen won by about 1.5 million votes. However, the vote splits for Macron, the way that the other people in Macron's party dropped out after the votes began, but before, like, after people voted for them, so votes transferred, and that's the best understanding I have of it. Could be completely wrong, but
okay, it sounds kind of like ours.
Okay.
We don't vote for the person, like you vote for Trump or Biden.
Right.
At the end of the day, we vote, but our votes don't go to a specific person. It goes to a specific party.
Okay.
And then the parties, like right now, the reason Trudeau is still here, even though he only got 30% of the vote himself, is because of what we call a minority government. So he teamed up with the NDP, which is like the New Democratic Party. They're socialists. They're kind of the Bernie Sanders of ours, kind of. But either way, they would be second largest on that side of the spectrum. So Liberals teamed up with them. Then they took in the Greens, who is a small party, but they've got a few chairs. And of course, the Bloc Québécois, which has a whole shit ton of power, even though they're a tiny little province. They build in those too. So by the numbers, all of those parties together got more votes than the conservative parties.
Gotcha.
Even if the conservative parties were all counted together, the liberal parties still counted as more. So that's how Trudeau stays in power, even though we all hated him.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gets uber confusing, but that was kind of my understanding of it. And
yeah.
I thought Trudeau was in a minority government for all the times he wore blackface, but
no,
I guess I got that one
not.
wrong.
No.
Hate to see what Biden calls that guy.
I love the way Trump. I love the way Trump treated Trudeau every single time they met. Perfect. Total snub. It was ideal.
He's such a, I don't know. He's
maroon.
He's a special character.
I'm pulling that one out again. I'm maroon. Taking the Looney Tunes.
But all right, we'll keep going with this CNN interview because we're only like halfway. But,
sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Did you ever watch the debate afterwards?
I don't think I did, no.
He doesn't think he did? He called.
That's what I'm saying. How do you not know if you watched the damn debate? Like, what the hell? Like, what is going on? With this
called into a couple of black radio stations where he said, among other things, this.
By the way, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president. I'm proud to the role of the first black woman in the Supreme Court. There's just so much that we can do because together there's nothing. Look, this is the United States of America.
And if Joe Biden wants to be a black woman, he can do so, damn it.
That's right.
Does he think he's Michelle Obama?
Oh, man. Hey, Dave. Good to see you.
Hey, what's up, Dave? Like, I don't understand why he thinks he's a black woman now. Can somebody explain to me when he became a black woman?
I don't right at the same time that he allowed Hunter to come in and be one of his main confidants. Like, is Hunter actually reading the classified documents and stuff that's coming into Biden? Does he have that much power?
Supposedly he is in the office, in the Oval Office, and part of the briefings, part of the discussions, part of the other stuff.
So he's listening to all the briefings. Holy fuck.
Yeah. So he's engaged in making decisions, and has obviously the ear of the president. But yeah, to my understanding, he is receiving classified briefings and classified materials. So,
he's on the payroll too, I'm sure.
Oh, of course, he's not doing it out of the good of his heart yet.
Well, exactly.
So, but
holy.
So we'll keep.
He's proud to be the first black woman. Not coherent. And even then, we later found out from the radio host that the Biden campaign had given her a list of questions to ask President Biden. That is a huge no-no in journalism, and the host was fired for it. But it remains quite telling that in the Biden campaign's efforts to show that the president has not missed a step, his campaign felt the need to feed questions to the hosts for a call-in radio interview. And the president still, even then, failed to deliver in many of his answers. Now, many elected Democrats are expressing concern about this answer, too, although it was quite coherent. George Stephanopoulos asking him how he would feel if he ultimately loses to Donald Trump, which polls have suggested he will.
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do, that's what this is about.
As long as he gave it his all and did the goodest job he could do.
No.
That's what it's all about. Is it?
I think it is. I think you just do the goodest job you can, like calling.
And intellectual rigor.
That's the best that we got. It's the best we got, Joe.
Wow.
I mean,
Barack was only half black. Michelle would be the first black man. Love it. Yeah, Mystic. It's the weirdest thing. It's like they've had to admit that they cannot use him as a puppet anymore. He is so far gone. They've all turned on him.
Wait a minute.
It's CNN, I know. Pardon?
Why is it? It says stream is not live.
It says live here.
Fucking Rumble. No, I mean, people are still commenting. Why does it say on my Rumble? It says I'm not live.
My feed. There. I just closed it down. No, you're live.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know why. Well, I'll just go through it and then.
Now I need to mute everything.
Yeah, now if it's fucked up, just somebody please let me know, because like mine says go live in the corner. So I don't have anything. Weird. So we'll just make it work.
We'll go with it, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, completely lost where I was at. I guess we can go over to this one.
There we go. Hello, amazing. How you doing?
I completely lost where I was at entirely. Because yeah, mine says go. I wonder if I can show.
Oh, the screen is black. That's okay. It's probably not black anymore already. That's just.
Yeah, it should have been black because it was the end of the CNN segment. So.
Yeah. So that part's okay, and it says on my side that we are live. So.
Yeah, I see it live on my side too. So. I was just wondering if there was like a takedown because of copyright or.
Oh right.
I mean, we all know how YouTube's.
Yeah.
Been being recently.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we'll just deal with it. We'll see what happens. I might have to exit and come back in or whatever.
Sure.
Before we end, or it could be a Rumble issue. So, But I'll just bring up YouTube too, so I can be entirely sure. But yeah. So now that we're past the Biden thing, because I pulled a Biden and forgot where I was at because Rumble decided it was going to do a Rumble thing. Yeah. So where are we at tonight?
Well,
bibliography.
This first bit is just kind of going over the books that he has used thus far, some of his reference books, in case you want to go and read them yourself, because he is nothing if not a fanatic of telling you to go and do your own damned research. Don't believe a thing he says.
Right.
So, if you want, I did send you the next one as well. We can zip through this one, or we can save it for the end, because if he's done a bibliography this far, there's probably going to be another one. Okay. You guys can choose either way. True and pressure should blood half. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't. So yeah, you also brought up the next one, the Lucifer worship. So
yes, that is the next in the chronology. Well, this is the next in the way he did his series. This bibliography comes next, but he's basically talking about the different books he's used thus far. So we don't necessarily need to hear him talk about those books. If you want, we can play it when we finish this whole series.
Yeah, let's.
Because we're not actually learning anything from this one. We're just learning the books that he's used and what he's found where. So.
Yeah, so we'll just jump ahead and we'll do Lucifer worship, because that sounds like a much more fun topic.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
So as far as Lucifer worship, what does that mean basically?
Well, we're gonna see.
Okay.
Because I'm fairly certain it branches. It branches off, and then there are multiple different sects that all worship him, but have different end goals or ideals.
Gotcha.
So yeah, Lucifer is real popular and very busy on this world, on this planet.
That's what I hear, and there's a lot of people that worship him. So
yes.
But we'll get started with it, and then we'll go from there. So
all right.
I was going far enough ahead, but apparently I didn't.
Welcome once again, folks, to the hour of the time. I'm your host, William Cooper. We'll start off tonight's show with the Socialist National Anthem. Oh, I love it. The Socialist National Anthem, born under a bad sign. Folks, tonight's episode of Mystery Babylon, the 18th hour, I'm going to take directly, verbatim, from Chapter 9 of A. Ralph Epperson's book called The New World Order. He's going to be a guest on this show soon, and you'll know why once you hear what we've got to say tonight. So pay attention. And remember, as always, just because I'm giving you this series on Mystery Babylon doesn't mean that you're supposed to believe what I'm telling you blindly. That's why I gave you the bibliography last night.
See?
You've got to go out and find the truth
perfect.
from your own research. And I'm the only one that ever tells you that. Everybody else wants you to believe verbatim what they say because they're saying it and they're who they are. And I'm telling you not to believe anybody, not even me, not even your own mother, unless you can verify it in your own work, your own research. Make sure that you do it too. Before we start,
I agree with that. If anybody tells you to believe them wholeheartedly and buy their bullshit, you should probably go someplace else. Because if you can't verify it, do your own research and find it, then somebody's fucking with you. So always, you should do your own research. Always, you should look into it. I tell you all the time, don't take a damn word I say. Like, you can use it as a starting point, but find your own information, find your own stuff, and back it up with your own. Because that's what people that are honest should be telling you. But and you should do that, and you should check them on it.
Always. I listen to news from all over the world, from multiple perspectives, and I am much better informed for it. It's unfortunate that I have to be on disability to have the time to be able to do it all, but I've got a much better idea of what's really going on in the world these days, and it's scary.
Yeah. And like I said, anybody who says trust me or ask you to follow them blindly, they're probably not. They're probably not doing it right. So I always encourage people to challenge me, encourage people to find different information or to discuss it or debate it. I've invited people on many, many times to talk about different topics or different things and differing opinions. I think it's always good to get whatever information and opinion you can get on a situation. And definitely people, I mean, we see this from MSNBC, CNN all the time. No, you can't read the messages. You have to trust us. Like, no, I'm not going to.
No, I don't. Yeah.
Right. I'm going to do what I want. And I'm going to look at sources I want, and I'm going to look it up for myself. So, actually encourage it. But
and it is getting harder to find differing opinions, especially. Oh, I'd enjoy that, Doc. Okay, Stingy. I was just about to say, especially after the troll that Stingy pulled on me and my man this afternoon. Holy Hannah, life is so weird. You need to make sure that you're getting your information from multiple sources because, they're censoring us hard.
Right. Also, just don't trust Stingy. That's a good method to live by. He's probably fucking with you.
I let down my guard. I went on vacation when you did, and my radar has gotten even duller than it normally is.
I mean, Stingy's a good dude, but he's always out to make you think about things. He's just trying to keep you on your toes, you know.
Totally.
I do have. Hang on. This is one thing I hate is trying to add things on here on Rumble Studios. It's difficult, but I'm getting better at it.
So do you need this is instead of OBS, or do you need OBS with this?
No, so this is instead of OBS. So this is just
okay, so it would be like StreamYard.
Yeah, so this is essentially the same thing as StreamYard. Okay. And it's gonna be weird. I don't know how that's gonna look, but basically it looks like, oh, there you go. It's just really small. That's what she sent. Stingy sent over. This meme is not available in your country with a Canadian flag. Which is probably coming.
Off. Yeah, I laughed it off. I was like, no way. But he pulled it along just perfectly. And he had my man and I both fooled. And the scary thing is, as funny as it is, it's because we're so close to that we were fooled. Like we're
Yeah.
really that close to being here.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting pretty close, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, what are you talking about? Looks fine in my end there.
He started it in your Discord too, the bugger.
I know. It's great.
I love this group that we have.
We'll get back to it.
Okay.
Start, folks. Remember, all of you have been asking me what to do with your assets, how to save your assets, how to survive this depression that we're in now. Make no mistake, we're in a depression, and it's going to get worse. In fact, we're headed for a total economic collapse.
Yes, we are.
Years ago. And I called the shots on this recession that went into a depression to the exact month.
Having
to the exact month
invested
when it
in
would
gold
begin, and it
back in
began right on
93?
schedule, exactly.
Gold, Bitcoin, Amazon, I mean, anything. Like, it's crazy.
But I mean,
yeah,
the gold is the gold, silver. These are the constants. The relative constants have been since time began. So, yeah, if you were to invest in gold back in 93 and just not bought any more, just bought a bunch then and just held it, you'd be doing really good right about now.
$326.90 an ounce in
Jeez.
1993, and
Thousands.
today it's much more. 2370.
Yeah.
2,370. Of course, American dollars, because
Because that's what counts.
loonies and toonies aren't real money, but
But they work like a hot damn when you put them in the ice. I tell you.
Yeah. That's true. But yeah, I mean, it would have been. That's why, I mean, gold stores value. It's worth having. Precious metals. So, not investment advice. I don't give that. But
no.
but yeah.
No.
So, all right, we shall continue.
When I said it would, and I was the only one that told you the banks would not fail on December the 19th, and I told you that on a show I aired on December the 6th. Folks, I hate being right. I'm telling you, this is the truth. I hate being right. I'm probably the only one in the world who doesn't like being right because it does not portend well for us. Now, the Bible, folks, discusses a being called Lucifer in both the Old and New Testaments, and we're going to be talking a lot about the Bible tonight because we have to look at this from every point of view. We've looked at it from the mystery schools. We've looked at it logically. We've looked at it historically. Now we're going to look at it from the Bible's point of view, but not strictly from the Bible's point of view. But you need to know this. The Bible discusses a being called Lucifer in both the Old and the New Testaments. Other names for this creature are Satan and the devil. One of the first explanations of just who this being known as Lucifer is found in the Old Testament in a book written by the prophet Isaiah, who wrote around 740 BC. He wrote that Lucifer was created full of wisdom and was perfect. He was created the anointed cherub that covereth the throne of God, and that he actually was upon the holy mountain of God. He later corrupted his wisdom by reason of his brightness. The Bible then records that God cast him to the ground. Isaiah wrote this in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. Quote, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?" Unquote. And folks, this was the very first recorded UFO sighting, if indeed it was a sighting at all. Notice that the fall of Lucifer weakened the nations of the world, and this will be examined in other chapters of this study. Quote, "For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mound of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." Unquote. Luke, a writer in the New Testament, records in Luke chapter 10, verse 18, that Jesus said that he beheld, quote, "Satan as lightning fall from heaven," unquote. Peter records in 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 4, that God has, quote, "spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down, unquote, as well. Paul, another New Testament writer, wrote this about Lucifer in 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 14, in about 57 AD. Quote, and no marvel, for Satan is transformed into an angel of light, unquote. And in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9, Paul wrote that Satan was capable of working, quote, lying wonders, unquote. In around 90 AD, John, the author of the book known as Revelation, wrote in Revelation chapter 12, verse 9, that Satan was a, quote, dragon, unquote. Lucifer shows up in the original site of human habitation on earth called the Garden of Eden. The Creator, God, placed Adam, the first man, and later Eve, the first woman, in this garden, but told them that there were certain rules that they had to abide by. And these are spelled out in Genesis chapter 2, verses 16 and 17. Quote, and the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die, unquote. Later, Lucifer spoke through a serpent to Eve, but in reality to both men and women. Quote, yea, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil, unquote. So from the above information, it is possible to glean a little knowledge about the nature of Lucifer. 1, he was cast down from heaven because he desired to ascend directly into the seat of heavenly power, the throne of God. 2, he is referred to as the son of the morning. This appears to be a reference to Lucifer being similar to the sun, which also rises every morning. His desire, number 3, his desire is to sit on the north side of the mountain of God. Lucifer can deceive the world. This is number 4. Lucifer can deceive the world because he has been transformed into an angel of light. And 5, Lucifer can work lying wonders. Now, with those basic understandings, folks, of Lucifer in place, it will be possible to examine the views of others about this fallen entity. However, not all agree with the picture of Lucifer being evil. For Albert Pike wrote this, quote, there is no rebellious demon of evil, our principle of darkness, and in eternal controversy with God, unquote.
Isn't Pike a communist?
Pike's a whole lot of things.
Okay.
He's had worn a lot of hats, as you'll see.
Huh.
Yeah.
And this is why nobody should like snakes, because they're terrible and they signify Lucifer.
I still like snakes. I always liked snakes. I thought they were cool.
Gross.
So, I don't think that means that I'm a lover of Lucifer, though. I think the two can be separate.
No, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I'm just saying you should probably not like snakes. They're not. I don't like snakes. They're bad.
I noticed. I'm okay with just about anything except earwigs. Earwigs gross the heck out of me.
Huh. I'd rather deal with 1 million earwigs than one snake.
Yeah.
I would scream like a bitch if I saw a snake.
Okay, so
run.
if we ever go on Fear Factor, we'll have to team up. And then that way they can't screw us over. One or the other of us will be okay.
I mean, I'll eat anything. I just won't. I'm not dealing with a snake, so you can
Perfect.
just be there for the snake thing.
Perfect.
So. All right. There it is.
In fact, Mr. Pike believes that Lucifer was not a force of evil, but could be a force for good, and he wrote this in Morals and Dogma, which I forgot to give you yesterday in the bibliography. That's another one. Write it down, folks. Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike. Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike. He wrote this in Morals and Dogma, quote, for the initiates, those initiated into the true secrets of Masonry, This is not a person, but a force, created for good, but which may serve for evil, unquote. To further amplify that belief of Mr. Pike's, it becomes important to quote a letter that he wrote on July the 14th, 1889, to the 23 Supreme Councils of the world. Judging from the contents of this letter, it appears that Mr. Pike was attempting to tell the leaders of the various Supreme Councils all over the world that they were to know that Lucifer was the secret god of the Masons. This letter clearly indicates that he believed the position that Lucifer was a god who had come to earth for the good of mankind, and he wrote this, quote, "That which we must say to the crowd is," presumably Mr. Pike meant that the crowd was all of the non-Masons and the public at large. "That which we must say to the crowd is, we worship a god, but it is the god that one adores without superstition," unquote. So it appears that one of the purposes of this letter was to advise all of the top-ranking Masons that they were to concoct a story that the Masons worshipped the traditional god so that none could ever accuse them of worshiping a cherub, a nun god, by the name of Lucifer. In other words, they were to deny that Lucifer was their god whenever an outsider was smart enough to break through all of the secrets and figure it out. Well, of course, folks, they're sworn to secrecy. They have to deny anything about the true secrets of their order. I mean, what kind of logic is this? That's plain as the nose on your face. You must understand that when you ask a Mason a question about Freemasonry, he's going to tell you a lie because he is sworn to secrecy, and he is sworn by blood oaths. And I know that by the time they've reached the 32nd degree, they've taken at least 32 different oaths swearing them to secrecy. Minimum. So you should know this already. Now, let's continue, but I'm going to go back and read that part over. It appears that one of the purposes of this letter was to advise all of the top-ranking Masons that they were to concoct a story that the Masons worshipped the traditional god so that none could ever accuse them of worshiping a cherub, a nun god by the name of Lucifer. It's very important. In other words, they were to deny that Lucifer was their god whenever an outsider was smart enough to break through all of the secrets and figure it out, as I and many others have done, as a Ralph Epperson has done. So the secret inside the Masonic order is that Lucifer is their secret god. Any non-Mason today who attempts to explain to any of their Masonic friends or relatives that this is the secret inside the lodge will be met with an instantaneous denial. Every Mason, whether they know the secret of the lodge or not, will obviously deny the accusation because they must. Mr. Pike continued, quote, "You may repeat it to the 32nd, 31st, and 30th degrees. The Masonic religion should be by all of us initiates of the high degrees maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine," unquote. You see, Albert Pike at that time was at the head of all the lodges of Freemasonry of the world, and at the head of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry in the United States of America. Here Mr. Pike seems to indicate that it is the 30th, 31st, and 32nd degrees that are to be taught the Luciferian doctrine. The direct evidence that the honorary 33rd degree is formally taught that Lucifer is the great architect of the universe will be presented later. But here Pike seems to say that that lesson is to be taught at an earlier degree. Quote, "If Lucifer were not God, would Adonai, the God of the Christians and the Jews, and his priest calumniate," which is defined as spreading false and harmful statements about or to slander, would they calumniate him? Pike makes two incredible statements about Lucifer. One, he is considered to be a god, and two, the priests and the rabbis have it all backwards and are all slandering his name. As has been illustrated, the Bible states that Lucifer is nothing more than a fallen cherub. He's not a god. Yet Mr. Pike clearly states that Lucifer is a god. Now, how can that be? And secondly, those who claim that he is the wicked one are slandering him. Those individuals have it all wrong. And Mr. Pike continued, quote, "The true and pure philosophic religion is the belief in Lucifer, the equal of Adonai," unquote. Adonai also spelled, well, in the first place here, it's spelled A-D-O-N-A-Y. and he says Adonai, also spelled Adonai, is the Hebrew word for God. To show that Pike was referring to the God of the Bible, he wrote this in his book entitled Morals and Dogma, quote, Adonai, the rival of Baal and Osiris, unquote. In other words, Adonai is Typhon. That's an aside from me, folks. That's not written in this book. But as you've been listening to this series that I've given you, you know that Adonai, if this is true, if he is the rival of Baal and Osiris, then he is Typhon. As has been illustrated, Osiris is the sun god, and the sun has been shown to be a symbol of Lucifer. Adonai is the rival of Lucifer, both in the Bible and in the writings of Albert Pike. Quote, but Lucifer, God of light and God of good, is struggling for humanity against Adonai, the God of darkness and evil, unquote. And here once again, Mr. Pike writes that Lucifer and Adonai are rivals, and that the religious world has it all backwards. Lucifer is the good God, and Adonai is the God of evil and darkness. The author would like to interrupt the narrative to make an observation. And this observation is being made by a Ralph Epperson, not me. He wrote this book. That authenticity of that letter by Albert Pike that was just quoted has been questioned by a variety of writers. It has been reported that Mr. Pike made these comments in an encyclical hand-carried to the meeting of 23 Supreme Councils of the World on July 14, 1889 in Paris, France. This author, meaning A. Ralph Epperson, is willing to concede that the only evidence for the contents of this encyclical consists of it being quoted in a book written by a Frenchman named A.C. de la Rive, entitled La Femme et l'Enfant dans la rank Méconnerie Universelle. I'm not a French speaker, folks, so that's the best I can do. My tongue doesn't do those things. Or at least I haven't practiced to make my tongue do those things. That title translated from French to English means The Woman and Child in Universal French Masonry. A copy of that page that contains that quote and the cover of the book has been supplied to this author, meaning A. Ralph Epperson, by a concerned researcher who had someone locate the book in France for him and make copies of the pertinent pages. The author has read another book that contains the English translation of that encyclical. That book is entitled Occult Theocracy and was written in 1933 by Edith Starr Miller. She cites the book by Mr. de la Rive as her source. She obviously believed that the letter was true and contained the actual thoughts of Mr. Albert Pike. He said,
"We know you don't know how to speak French, Bill. We've had plenty of introduction to the fact that you can't speak French, but I fixed Rumble. By the way, I sent you a Discord message, but I don't know if you got it. So I think Digger's not here, or I fucked up Rumble again. So,
am I here now?
Oh yeah, you're here now.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay, the weirdest thing happened. I got booted from YouTube. YouTube swore I didn't have internet access, but I was still hearing everything, and I didn't want to speak in case I messed up the juju. But I finally got YouTube back up and running. So yeah, I'm having
cool.
weird internet things. But
Yeah, me too.
yes, now I've got chat. I've got chat back up, and I can see what people are saying again. So yeah, I don't know what's going on, but apparently my computer's trying to boot me off of parts of the internet, but not all parts. So yeah,
well, that's interesting.
Unfortunately, we don't have a private chat in this Rumble thing.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So I messaged you on Discord that I was switching it over and back, and I don't think it messed up anything, and I was like, maybe it did. So yeah.
Well,
okay.
that's fine.
We're back. It's good.
We're back.
We got
We're
this.
good. And as far as everyone else was concerned, things were fine until we showed up and said, "Hey, look, we're screwing things up."
Yeah, exactly. So everything was working beautifully.
That's our disclaimer right there.
Yeah.
That's our disclaimer. Yeah. We don't know what we're doing.
Just wing it most of the time, and see what happens. So, all right, we'll go back to letting it work properly. So.
Okay.
it in so many other places, including in his own book, Morals and Dogma, that I also believe that the letter is true, and now I'm speaking as myself, William Cooper. In other words, going back to A. Ralph Epperson's words, in other words, the only source for the letter is a Frenchman who quotes it in his book and not Mr. Albert Pike himself. It must be assumed that Mr. Pike, if he were alive today and was asked whether the letter was his, would deny that he ever wrote such an encyclical, whether or not he had written it, because he must. He's sworn to maintain the secrets. But the reader is admonished to remember that if he did indeed worship Lucifer and wrote the encyclical, he would certainly have to deny it, so that answer would tell the researcher nothing. It is the contention of this writer, A. Ralph Epperson, and others who are attempting to decipher the secret symbols of the Masonic order that a small percentage of the Masons know that all of the symbols inside the lodge refer to Lucifer. And I am one of those who believe this, folks. My research has shown it to be absolutely true, and I could prove it. And I've already given you direct quotes from many Freemasons that already prove it. And it must be remembered that these Masons must, of necessity, do all that they can to deny any revelation of any of the secrets of the lodge. And certainly anyone today who believes that the contents of the letter are a fraud would do all that they could to discredit anyone who said that the thoughts were the actual thoughts of Pike. However, this writer, meaning A. Ralph Epperson, is of the opinion that Mr. Pike did indeed worship Lucifer and is not basing that conclusion on just this one letter. Notice that Mr. Pike has written elsewhere that he considered Lucifer to be the secret god of the Masonic Lodge, and I, William Cooper, have also found that to be true, not only in one or two, but in many instances. So it is not essential to this writer's, A. Ralph Epperson's, position that this encyclical be proven to be valid. It is the author's contention that there is ample evidence from other sources, including from Masons other than Mr. Pike, that the secret god inside the Masonic lodges is Lucifer, and I wholeheartedly concur with Mr. Epperson. That evidence is available to anyone who cares to locate it. But there is another Mason who knows that Lucifer is the good god of a particular segment of the Masons. Pike's fellow 33rd degree Mason, Manly P. Hall, also felt that this God was a God of good. He wrote in his book entitled The Secret Teachings of All Ages, quote, "Sun worship played an important part in nearly all the early pagan mysteries. The solar deity was slain by wicked ruffians who personified the evil principle of the universe. By means of certain rituals and ceremonies, symbolic of purification and regeneration, this wonderful God of good was brought back to life and became the savior of his people," unquote. This God who came back to life is not the Jesus of the Bible, because Mr. Hall refers to him as the solar deity. He is referring to the death and resurrection of Osiris, covered in detail in the Masonic rituals, and I've already relayed to you who Osiris really is. In fact, in this series on the mystery religion, I've proven it time and time and time again. But Manly P. Hall has further identified Lucifer as the god of some of his fellow Masons. He has written this in his book entitled The Lost Keys of Freemasonry. It's one of the books that I gave you last night, folks. When the Mason, quote, "When the Mason learns the key to the warrior on the block is the proper application of the dynamo of the living power, he has learned the mystery of his craft. The seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands, and before he may step onward and upward, he must prove his ability to properly apply energy," unquote. Mikhail Bakunin, the Russian anarchist, also addressed this question of evil and good gods, and he wrote, quote, "The evil one is the satanic revolt against divine authority, revolt in which we see the fecund, defined as being fertile, germ of all human emancipations, the revolution. Socialists recognize each other by the words, 'In the name of the one to whom the great wrong has been done.' Satan, folks, is the eternal rebel, the first free thinker, and the emancipator of worlds. He makes men ashamed of his bestial ignorance and obedience. He emancipates him, stamps upon his brow the seal of liberty and humanity, in urging him to disobey and eat of the fruit of knowledge," unquote. You see, I've been telling you all along that socialists and the mystery religion of Babylon are the same, and now in his book, A. Ralph Epperson has proven it. That thought that Lucifer was a good spirit to whom a great wrong was done is the basic thought that holds the New Age together, according to Tex Mars, the author of 2 major books on the subject. And he has written, quote, "Many New Agers commend Lucifer because by tempting Eve, he enabled man to evolve toward enlightened knowledge and godhood," unquote. Remember I told you that with the gift of intellect, man will develop technology that will make him God? They are working feverishly in laboratories now to uncover the secret of immortal life. Mr. Mars discusses the thoughts of a leader in a mystical organization called the Stell Group. How many times have I mentioned that? The Stell Group, named Eklal Koshana. He writes that this New Age leader says that, quote, "Lucifer is the head of a secret brotherhood of spirits. The brotherhood is named after Lucifer because the great angel Lucifer has been responsible for the abolishment of Eden in order that men could begin on the road to spiritual advancement," unquote. Lars Hansen was reared in the Stell Group. Lars Hansen was reared in the Stell Group. Tom Valentine was a member of the Stell Group. Tom Valentine wrote a book called The Life and Death of Planet Earth. Get it and read it, folks. Tom Valentine was associated with the Communist Party. Now he's a member of the Liberty Lobby, which came right out of the old German Nazi Bund. They used to sing the Horst Wessel song at the beginning of their meetings. Wake up! Wake up! Wake up. Why do you think every time somebody calls Tom Valentine and asks him about Freemasonry and their complicity in the conspiracy, he covers it up and hangs up on the person as quickly as possible and denies that there's any complicity of Freemasonry? Now, this makes me a little hot under the collar. I've got to cool down a little bit, so we're going to take a break, folks. Don't go away. I'll be right back after this very short pause. Well, folks, I needed that little break. I'll tell you right now, Tom Valentine has been attacking me for years because he knows that I know who he is and what he's about, that I know the origins of the Liberty Lobby, that I know their message is that our government is no good, it doesn't work, that it's turned against us, and it's all lies. For it's the people who are in these secret societies who have turned against us, who are delivering that message to us to get us to voluntarily overthrow or get rid of our own government, the only government in the history of the world that has ever set man free. And I'm the only one who lets you know this. It's not our government, it's not the Constitution, it's not the Bill of Rights, it's not the structure. It's the secret societies. It's the Tom Valentines. It's the Bo Greitzes. It's all of these people who belong to Freemasonry, and the Ancient Order of the Rose and Cross, and the Knights Templar, and the Sovereign and Military Order of the Knights of Malta, and the Order of St. John of Jerusalem, and many more, many more. Socialist, international socialism, under many, many different names. You see, folks, you see, the senator was right. Senator McCarthy was absolutely right. He was correct. He just didn't know the proper name. He thought he was ferreting out communism. He wasn't. You see, if he understood what I understand, then he would have survived the attacks of the very people that he was trying to ferret out, who owned the media that turned against him and destroyed him. Hollywood, who turned against him and destroyed him through manipulating the opinion of the public. See, communism, folks, is just a word. It's another boogaboo enemy. The real enemy, folks, is Mystery Babylon.
Yep.
I could never say what I said tonight before, because if I had, it would have been misinterpreted.
So that brings up an interesting point, because there's always a boogeyman. There's always somebody that somebody, has a problem with, whether it be Russia or China, or it just, the boogeyman never changes. It just continues to cycle through over and over again. And at some point we have to realize what it is. And realize what's in control, what's bringing this stuff down, and what's causing these issues. And that's the only way we fix them. That's the only way we drive some of this stuff out, and that's the only way we make an actual difference. So,
I am mostly in agreement. I think we need to take them from both directions. Get in local. I speak a good talk. I don't go out of my house, so it's not like I can actually do this myself. But act locally. If you can't, be on the chair or on the board, go to the meetings, vote, listen to what they're trying to pass through. Yeah, we're trying to not say that one
ding,
just
ding,
because it's
light
so
rain.
easily. Yeah,
You're right.
it's the one that everyone goes to. But that's the thing. These people, what they believe in tells them that they are to lie and say or do whatever they need to ingratiate themselves with all the different power groups in the world. So
Yeah.
they can say and do things as, a Christian or a Muslim or a Jewish person, and they aren't really of those faiths,
Yeah.
so they're not actually doing anything. They're not actually doing anything wrong. They can lie their faces off because they're allowed to do it for their God, their religion.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, again, I think that just naming the Jews or naming, I can't think of another religious group because I don't want to piss anybody else off. But if you just name the Jews, then again, you're just naming a boogeyman. Like there's more behind it. There's some kind of group, there's some kind of structure, and there's some kind of cabal behind it that's causing these types of things. And for that to be, it just, like, eventually we have to get to the root of the cause. We have to target what it actually is instead of everything else. The Jews, the Russians, the Chinese, the insert bad guy here.
That's all white noise to keep us busy. Yeah.
Yep, for sure. Keep us running around, hating each other for no reason, and not identifying the correct enemy.
In my opinion, we've got an umbrella with probably, I'd say, 13 to 15 factions. The umbrella is going to be the core people who would be the followers of the Mystery Babylon. And even Mystery Babylon itself is just another name, like the Templars or the Jews or, whoever. It's a group of people who think that they are God or they can become God. And they don't need any other God above them. They are able to make themselves better than. And so they've been working this whole world. In my opinion, it makes logical sense to me that this, whatever you want to call it, I call it the mysteries, but this started when Cain was marked on the forehead and kicked out of the home tents after killing his brother. Because God actually marked him, and so that everyone all around the world would know who he was and know not to harm him, because he was to live out his whole life knowing what had happened and being marked as it. So God let him walk off, and he took sisters with him, and he created what would later be, in my opinion, known as the Sons of Man, is another term for them, the Mystery Babylon. But I think he is where this started. I think he decided he doesn't need God. He can be God on his own terms.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. And it's just gone through the ages by whatever name it needs to be in order to keep the masses on side. And then no one needs to know that at the top of the top, this, say, 13 to 15 factions, none of them believe anything that they claim to believe.
Right.
So,
Well, and that's not to say people like Netanyahu, one of the two, that he's not part of this group, or that,
no,
Macron isn't part of this group, or,
they're all working
so, I
together.
mean,
They may not know they're working for him.
right. So I don't know. It's one of those touchy situations, because unless we're getting to the root of it, then we're probably not going to root it out. Like, it's
Yeah.
not going to ever be gone, ever be removed, or ever be satisfied. We're always going to have to deal with kind of running in all kinds of directions when we should be focused on the real enemy. And that's unfortunate, but Abel wouldn't shut up, but that rock sure made him silent. Just saying.
Yep. Oh, it did. Yeah. Hi, JK. I do remember. Actually, I've got nut and honey in my cupboard. I love those. I was just thinking though, Davros just happened as well.
Oh,
and then
did it?
all of a sudden the world starts taking this conservative wave, Yeah, Davros just ended. Just like maybe a month ago now.
Okay.
I think it happened just before you went on vacation, so maybe 2 months ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but all of a sudden, a lot of things, I think that's quite likely that would be where they decided that Biden's a failure and they can't keep propping him up. Everyone, the globalists, everyone's need to get on board with the fact that Trump's the only way to go.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the media and everyone, all his donors are turning their backs on Biden.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting perspective. I don't know, the whole Biden thing, they had to have known what was coming. They had to have known. So I don't know.
Well, they knew he was bad when they first put him up to run the first time around. They knew he was bad, but they knew that they could use him as a puppet. Problem is, he got really bad really fast, a lot quicker than they expected him to, in my opinion. I'm throwing that all over the place. But I think he went downhill a lot quicker than they expected. And like I said, I would not be surprised if Davros is where they all sat and discussed and decided, okay, you know what, we've got to go with Trump because Biden, we just can't prop him up anymore.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, and everything is all, I do believe firmly that everything's all set out. Like, everything is predetermined by, I think it's predetermined on two different levels. I think it's predetermined our actions, like what takes place in day-to-day life, I think is predetermined. And then I think also the powers that be are predetermining what they can control on this planet. So I think they knew the entire time that they were going to cheat. I think they knew the entire time they were going to rig the election. I think they knew the entire time that they were going to puppet Biden. Literally. I mean, hell, Jeff Dunham could use him as a prop from this point forward. Literally.
yeah.
So, like,
well,
they knew what was happening.
Yeah, I think that kind of makes sense too, because that's why Trump was so choked that they stole it from him, because I think he thought his faction had control and we're going to keep control. I don't think he realized that another faction was going to be so sneaky as to pull it out from under him like they did. But he learned. And this time around, his faction, his globalist faction, in my opinion, is making damn sure that he is the winner.
Right. And I got criticized for this a couple times when I've said it, but I believe wholeheartedly and strongly that these type of people, and these type of people, I think, include both the Democrats and that type of ilk of people, the rhinos, the Democrats, all that kind of stuff. And I think it also includes these kind of people, the Mystery Babylon type of people. And I think that, again, you have deeply embedded people that are in every level of government, in every office, controlling every aspect of our lives. And I think that's in part why we're losing so much. And that's in part why we're battling so hard uphill to get anywhere.
Yep.
Anywhere. Because I mean, we can go like how build, change, run, raise money, do this, do that, and we're still not any further than we started 10 minutes ago. You know, like it seems like we're working 3, 4, 5 times as hard as the other side. And that's tiring. It's very tiring.
It is. So. And we're also starting on the back foot because half the people in the world don't realize that they're in this situation.
Right.
So, but that's why I've been saying I've really changed my tune a lot. Go local. If you can get where the town or city that you live in on the right track and fighting to stay on the right track, and if enough cities and towns do the same thing, then we've got a chance at forcing the rot out. But there's so much bloat in governments, no matter what country. If you're a Western government, or even talking Asian, or you name it, there is so much government bloat. There are so many people who have to tick a box or dot an I so that everything can work well. And it's the safety measures there are so many safety measures that we've stopped ourselves from being able to do anything good.
Right.
So yeah, we've got to take our towns back. We've got to take our cities back.
Well, it has to start at the bottom, and it has to be incremental. So we have to keep taking and taking and taking and building and taking and take it back in a very slow, very methodical process that makes sure that we don't miss anything, and that we get everything from the beginning to the end.
Exactly.
And that's the reality of the situation. So,
hello, OG, and Cool Frog. Hello.
Hey, what's up? I don't think the powers that be are making all the decisions necessary. I think it's preordained that things are starting to happen, and it may be too late to stop them. I think that even if everything isn't predetermined, I think there's enough, because I mean, realistically, to make everything predetermined, it takes a lot of bandwidth. I don't know if it's possible, but I think we are too deep in a process that we've kind of set the groundwork, meaning they've set the groundwork for this to cascade. And I think that we're going to be in trouble because it's going to continue to cascade. It's going to continue to kind of break down as we go and go down this predetermined path. So
yeah, well, the Trumps, or the our new guy will be Pierre Poilievre. I bet, well, no, I don't bet any money on it because I don't have any money. I'm a broke ass, but I would bet money on it if I had it. Pierre Poilievre will be our next PM, and he is the same as Trump. I think they just work for different factions, but they're all working for one or another faction that is pushing this globalist agenda. And then from Linda's comments, I see what you're saying, maybe more, even higher up than that. I believe I have learned recently, looking at what is happening with the judgment and the prejudgment and all of that in the Book of Life. It's not just us. When the second coming happens and we all go up there, it's not just us humans who are going to be standing up and hopefully being covered by Christ's righteousness and being allowed into heaven. In a much larger, more cosmic scheme, God himself is on trial, because the devil and his angels were thrown down to earth long before, well, not long before, but they were thrown down to earth. And he's going to ruin earth when Jesus comes again. I think that he being God is on trial by the ancient elders who are talked about in the Bible as surrounding him. He has said, okay, look, this is what's happened. Lucifer has fallen. He's taken a third of the angels. He's now tempted Adam and Eve. So I'm going to put them on the earth. We're going to quarantine the earth so that no one can come or go except for my messengers, the angels. Otherwise, consider the angels kind of like the doctors, right? So the earth is on quarantine. And now we're getting to the end times where everyone, the ancient elders, are going to see if God's plan does work, if what he said, what he set in place, works out the right way. I mean, even at this point, Lucifer thinks that he's going to pull something out of his butt at the last minute and change things. Now, I'm of the opinion that he can't because he's not God. Only God can, create such a complex system as a human body, let alone at a planet or a universe. The 24 elders worship God. I think they are advisors of God, but this thing, because of Lucifer, God has to prove that he is God. You know what I mean? He has a plan, and even though Lucifer tried to fuck it up and is continually still trying to fuck it up, he has a plan, and the plan is going along, and at the end of the day, everything will happen exactly as God said it would happen, and there will be no more question. And at that point, this earth that we know will be destroyed, completely destroyed, and a new heaven, a new earth will be there. And at that point, these 24 elders and everyone, there's no quarantine anymore. So I'm really looking forward to going to meet all of these different beings that I believe exist. We just can't see them right now.
Amazing Disgrace. Sorry, I want to catch up on some of these, but have you ever read The Great and Secret Show by Clive Barker? Amazing. I can't read, so no, I haven't.
Show. I might have years ago. I read a lot of his work once upon a time.
I can read, but I have not read that book. No, but this guy works in a dead letter room in the post office and comes across bits of pieces of ramblings with different people from all over the world. He's able to see a common thread between them.
I remember something like that.
It's kind of neat.
Yeah,
seems like an interesting book.
Yeah, I'm getting glimpses of remembrances. That's a great thing with the fibro fog and the brain memory degeneration is that I get to go back and watch movies and read books, and they're brand new again.
Well, I'm supposed to be doing summer reading with the kids, so I need a book right now, so maybe I'll pick it up.
My Side of the Mountain?
My Side of the Mountain?
Yeah.
How's that?
Oh, that would be a much better for kids. My Side of the Mountain or Where the Red Fern Grows.
Oh, I mean, so I'm supposed to, and it's not fair. So you're supposed to keep up with the number of books they're reading, but their books are like 6 pages in fucking size 40 font. Like, it's not fair.
Oh, so you're supposed to not read the same books as them, but you're supposed to read the same number as them.
Yeah.
Holy Hannah, they're going to kick butt every time.
Yep. I mean, it's kind of built in, but you know.
How close are they to reading Lord of the Rings? Give you a summer
I don't know.
off.
They're doing some chapter book, like some decent sized chapter books now. So, but they still have probably a little bit to go to Lord of the Rings. So,
well, you've got some time to look forward to then. Someday you'll get your summer back.
Maybe.
What's up, Jacob?
24 elders worship God. We'll have to disagree on the God. If I read it right, God is judge. Christ is the defense, and Lucifer is the prosecutor.
That's how I understood it, but it was, and now of course I'm not going to be able to remember it. I'll go back and I'll figure out where we had the discussion, Linda, because from how I understand it is yes, JK, the 24 elders do worship God, but because Lucifer dared to stand up and try to be better than God, which I doubt anyone had ever even thought to do before. Now he's been kind of the spotlight's been put on him. So
Okay.
he's got enough, like the 24 elders, yes, they worship him, but Lucifer was enough to put the question in everyone's mind. So this is God's plan to fix that, fix the Lucifer issue. But oh shit. But he's also kind of having to prove himself to everyone else, because no one else stood up to him like Lucifer did, but everyone else has got a question now. So until and unless God's perfect plan comes to fruition, everyone is going to have questions. Maybe Lucifer was right. So in a way, God is just as much on trial as Lucifer. But that's a new understanding that I have been given. So I will try and find it and share it with you later.
Okay. Never forget, Jesus said that Satan was murdered from the beginning.
Was a murderer.
Quite a powerful thing. Was a murderer from the beginning. That's quite a powerful thing to say. Gotcha.
Yeah. What's up, Jacob?
That's a great white throne. What's up, Jacob? Lurking.
Yes, he's the father of all liars.
JKD Buck, please send him my way. I know that sounds weird, but it's still not fucking raining, and the pressure is so intense. I just want it to rain.
Yeah. Well, it's thick. It gets to the point where it's hard to breathe. It's so thick. The humidity.
It's been that way for like 4 days. Like, it's just nasty. So I'm hoping it all breaks soon. Get audiobooks so you can catch up on your sleep. That is a great idea.
That is a great idea.
I read after the millennial, he gets thrown into the lake of fire.
Lucifer.
Oh,
From my understanding, isn't the lake of fire, the eternal fire, same thing? Because from my understanding, Lucifer gets chucked into the eternal fire with all the sinners, but it's not that the sinners burn eternally. It's not like they're aware and burning eternally. They don't have eternal life, so they'll be tossed into the eternal flame and burn up and be gone. It's the smoke that rises from the eternal flame, the eternal fire. That's what rises and rises forever. It's the smoke. It's not the people burning. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the only books my parents introduced me to were books of matches. That's beneficial. You can start a fire almost anywhere.
Those are, you need to know how to use those.
Yeah. Some people don't.
Yeah, Linda, I will try and find it, because it was really surprising to me. But the perspective made sense. So I'll figure out where I had that discussion and I'll send it to you, because it was kind of eye-opening. It gave me another perspective on things that I hadn't had yet.
I'm going to sidetrack us for like 2 seconds. I understand that the NATO summit is here, but 10 o'clock at night on a fucking Tuesday, that is a heavy flight load.
Wow.
199 planes on screen.
Intense. It's 10 o'clock at night for most
Eastern.
of you guys. Yeah.
Like that.
Maybe they're doing it hoping to kind of come in and catch people off guard.
I wonder what the rest of the
Sneak
world
them into
looks
their
like.
hotels better.
Oh, there's a Russian plane again. They've been flying that back and forth just to... It seems like seemingly to fuck with people, but...
Probably. I would if I was...
I got a message and then I got sidetracked, so thought I'd share.
Oh, yeah. Roses have thorns. Roses have thorns. It's in total, it's like 11 hours or just under 12 hours, but it's a series of like hour-long episodes, and it explains what happened in the Ukraine leading up to where we are now. And I'm talking about like we go back before there were any fights over that airport, long before that, years before that, to see how we got to where we are. And it's amazing because it's the story being told by the people who live on the ground. So, and it's so different from what we're told. So different.
That's awesome. I'll have to. Like I said, I need some stuff to check out, so I'll start reading something like that. Wait, I just saw something, and then Biden made a fool of himself at the NATO summit. JK, I assume you heard this one, but in case you didn't, this was what he called the Secretary General of NATO.
And intellectual rigor.
Yeah, Biden just called him an intellectual wigger. That's what he said. And then I guess there's a better clip after of him talking about using his wife.
Oh no.
But I haven't found that one yet. So if I do,
we'll play it. Yeah.
I'll play it. But yeah, it's something about his wife, and then he laughs.
Oh no.
Chuckles. This guy's fucking lost it. But yeah, of course he's embarrassing us on the world stage. So there's a report out right now that so he was asked. I know we're getting off topic, and we'll get back to it, I promise. But Brett Baer asked John Kirby, the defense press secretary or whatever, there's a real concern that Biden isn't up to handle something that may come up outside the hours of 10 and 4. John Kirby's response: a couple of years ago, Biden got a call in the middle of the night, and he didn't return it till 8 a.m. So if something did happen, this jackass wouldn't even get back to it. So you can.
Well, how many years ago?
I think it's at a couple of years ago.
Okay, so not when it was vice president. Definitely when it was president.
Pretty much his entire presidency. I mean, a couple of years ago, he only became president 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a scary proposition because you have about 7 minutes if Russia decided to start something nuclear. So, yeah. But
I really did. I was hoping that it was kind of like the whip that the Brits have, wigger. I thought it was a new term that I hadn't learned yet about American politics.
Nope,
I was hoping.
That's exactly what that means.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, but all right, let's get back to this, or we're never going to finish. So
yes.
All right.
I had to have independent verification that the Stell group worshipped Lucifer before I could reply legitimately to the tax upon me by Tom Valentine. Because if I had told you what I know without independent verification, all of you would have turned against me as being a poor sport or some other bullshit. It's a real load off my chest to be able to deliver that message to you. I can tell you that right now. Real load off my chest. Let me continue. Remember, this is chapter 9 of A. Ralph Epperson's book, The New World Order. So there is a basic disagreement about the nature of Lucifer, also known as Satan or the devil. The Bible depicts him as a force for evil, and Mr. Pike and others pictures him as a force for good. But the connection between Lucifer and the ancient mysteries needs to be further amplified. The mysteries had a purpose, to create a Superman. Where have you heard that before? Hitler said it, and they're working in secret in laboratories right now toward the same goal. The mysteries had a purpose: to create a Superman, one capable of understanding the true nature of the universe and to worship the true God. W.L. Wilmshurst, a Mason, wrote these thoughts in his book entitled The Meaning of Masonry. Quote, "This, the evolution of man into Superman, was always the purpose of the ancient mysteries, and the real purpose of modern Masonry is not the social and charitable purposes to which so much attention is paid, but the evolution of those who aspire to perfect their own nature and transform it into more godlike quality," unquote. And
Damn it, I was muted. One, I found it.
Oh, good.
So, it's only 15.
The guided this alliance through one of the most consequential periods in its history. I realize, I was talking to your wife, I personally ask you to extend your service. Forgive me.
What the fuck?
And you put your guided this alliance through one of the most consequential periods in its history. I realize, I was talking to your wife, I personally ask you to extend your service. Forgive me.
He was talking to the other dude's wife
And personally
asked
him to extend his service. So he called Stoltenberg's wife a whore, basically. Is what I took out of that.
Okay. That's not quite as far as
different?
I had taken it, but that works for me.
I mean, when you're saying personally extend her services and then laughing about it, like I called you to personally extend her services and then you laugh about it and clam up like that. That's how I took it. But I'm also
I thought he was begging her to make her husband stay longer, extend his services.
Oh, could be.
I like your version better, though.
I mean, from what I'm seeing on the internet, they're a lot closer to me after I'm saying what I said. So, yeah, I called the NATO Secretary General's wife a prostitute and an off-colored joke.
Yep.
So, that's what I'm getting out of it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean the internet can be wrong too. But that's the common conception when I'm going through
Lovely
Biden wife joke.
All right. I love it.
So
I thought they were making a joke about Jill, not about the other dude's wife.
Maybe. Could be. It's not okay.
Either
way. So here's a transcript of it. I realized after Ing your wife, there's just a couple letters followed by ing. I personally ask you to extend the service. Laughs. Can you forgive me?
Wow. Okay.
That's what I thought. I thought I heard something close to that. I mean, of course, most of it is mumbles, but
yeah,
like that's what the transcript says.
See, and I was just doing the old, I'll translate as much as I can and then try to infer the rest. But you obviously translated more words than I did.
Well,
and a lot of other people did too, because, yeah, it sounds like a lot of people
like he said fucking his wife. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I couldn't understand the first, like the prefix to the ing. Like there was an ing.
There was definitely an ing.
And it kind of fit there in the context of the rest of the statement. I just can't say with definitive proof that he said fucking your wife.
Do you think Biden can do that anymore?
No, hell no. Hell no. Well, I don't know. Hunter is an advisor now.
Wow.
I mean,
there's that.
He's had some troubles and
plot twist. The grandkid that he refuses to acknowledge is actually his child.
Gross.
Yeah.
I have so many jokes I could make right now, but I'm going to take the high road. I'm going to take the high road. I was fucking. OG.
Oh, I love it, OG.
Well, now I got to put those two together. Thanks,
Oh,
OG.
geez.
Now I have more work. All right. If we don't laugh, we'll cry because he is completely just destroying this nation from the inside out. So,
yes,
all
it's
right,
the
we're gonna
tack
get
I've been
back.
taking with my Trump or my Trudeau for years now.
Yeah.
Laugh or
Biden can't-
cry, I'm gonna laugh.
Biden can't do the nasty. He's so limp, it's like pushing a rope uphill. His affinity for tripping, I'm just saying.
Oh no. Oh,
I'm gonna continue.
He died. Say as an aside here, what a Freemason said to a friend of mine who was his son. He said, "Son, if you are not one of us, you are nothing." And of course, the son was not one of them, and to his great credit, has never become one of them. W.L. Wilmshurst amplified this thought a little later in his book. Quote, "Man who has sprung from the earth, meaning that he was not created by a creator, God, and developed through the lower kingdoms of nature to his present rational state, has yet to complete his evolution by becoming a God-like being and unifying his consciousness with the omniscient, to promote which is and always has been the sole aim and purpose of initiation," unquote. And he goes on, quote, "No higher level of attainment is possible than that in which the human merges in the divine consciousness and knows as God knows," unquote. What have I been telling you all this time, folks? So just as Satan tempted mankind with the ability to know good and evil themselves, just like God, without his assistance, now the Masons are teaching that they too could become a God through an initiation into the ancient mysteries. John Anthony West, in his book Serpent in the Sky, wrote this in support of Mr. Wilmshurst's statement, quote, "Egypt started with the concept of divine attributes within man. The gods are not brought down to earth, rather man is raised to the gods," unquote. Others, besides the above-mentioned Masons like Louis Feuerbach, have joined the discussion with similar thoughts. He was a 19th century philosopher and a hero of the communists like Karl Marx. In fact, Frederick Engels, the co-worker with Karl Marx during the time Marx wrote the Communist Manifesto as a hired writer hack, wrote this about his friend, quote, "All the communists of 1845 were followers of Feuerbach. The reason that the communists supported the ideas of Feuerbach is apparent when the student reads his writings, for he wrote, quote, "Man alone is our God, our Father, our Judge, our Redeemer, our true home, our law, and our rule, the Alpha and Omega of our life and of our political, moral, public, and domestic activity. There is no salvation save through the medium of man," unquote. John Denver, the well-known popular singer, has adopted this same philosophy about his divinity. He has been quoted as saying this after his new conversion, quote, "It's the single most important experience of my life. I can do anything. One of these days I'll be so complete I won't be human, I'll be a god," unquote. It's the same thing that's taught in the Mormon Church. If a married couple produce many children and conform to the teachings of the church, then when they die, they will be gods and they will be given a planet of their own, and they will continue their reproduction, only they will be souls, and they will populate the planet and will be the gods of the planet. What crap! What absolute crap! Where do these people get their egos? I'll be a god. Yeah, sure you will. If you guys are all gods, then how come you still got to pay your bills? How come you get sick? And how come you got to go to the doctor? And if you go to the doctor, what's that make the doctor if you're God? Huh? You're all a bunch of fools. You're blithering idiots. You've lost your mind. Your egos have run away with the rest of you. And you're going to die like everyone else. And you're going to find out, like everyone else, what really happens when people die. And as far as I know, no one on this earth really knows or is likely to know until it happens to them. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Mr. Hall, the Mason, stated a similar thought when he wrote this in his book entitled Lectures on Ancient Philosophy. Quote, "We may study the star intellectually, but we have never attained consciousness until we are the star." Unquote. But this idea that man could become a god is not new. The Bible anticipated it, and Isaiah wrote about it back in 741 BC. This is what he wrote in Isaiah chapter 43, verse 10, quote, "Thus saith the Lord, understand that I am he. Before me there was no God formed, neither shall there be after me," unquote. And once again in Isaiah chapter 45, verse 5, quote, "I am the Lord, and there is none else. There is no God beside me," unquote. And remember, all the Roman emperors declared themselves God, and they all died like every other man died, some of them by the assassin's sword or knife. God, yeah, boy, you guys just take the cake, I'll tell you. How you can meet and throw that baloney around to each other and swallow it and pump each other up to believe that you're gods or you're going to be gods is beyond my understanding. The Bible teaches that there is but one God and that mankind has no possibility of sharing his Godhead. One who apparently has not believed those statements in the Bible is Shirley MacLaine, who has become a spokesman for the position that man can become a god. She has written several books on the subject of her support of the New Age. Newsweek magazine described her as the New Age evangelist, and she wrote the following statement in her book entitled Dancing in the Light, quote, "We are part of God," unquote, and this elsewhere in the same book, quote, "If one says audibly, 'I am God,' the sound vibrations literally align the energies of the body to a higher attunement," unquote. Yeah, I bet it does. Yep, I bet the insanity molecules take over every portion of the body, and you really all feel great until you have to go pay your rent. Or you catch the flu. Or somebody just knocks the crap out of you to try to bring you back to reality, which is exactly what should happen when you do those kinds of things. What's wrong with just living life peacefully with other people and enjoying what we have? What's the big thing that you have to become God? And I'll tell you right now, you never will. You might as well just, well, never mind. If you want to be God, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You're deceiving yourself, and that's okay as long as you don't hurt anyone else. If each man is a god, mankind is capable of making decisions for their own welfare. Each man has complete control of his decision-making. According to Miss MacLaine, in fact, man's control is extended into areas few have ever claimed for mankind, and these are the thoughts of Miss MacLaine. Quote, "I think we choose to be together. We choose our parents, and I think the parents choose the children they want to have before they ever come into an incarnation," unquote. Tell that to an abused child. Tell that to a child who's raised by drunken, miserable, stinking parents who don't give a damn about the child. Tell that to all those people who know that that's total false, irresponsible ramblings of an insane maniac. And you know what they say when they're confronted with this? They say you agreed to it in a previous life and that you're paying off your karmic debt. You see, they have a rationalization for everything, and it's just more bullshit. More lies, more crap. She went on further to record another strange thought when she wrote this, quote, "There was no such thing as reality, only perception," unquote. Well, Shirley, let me tap you on the jaw with my fist, and then you tell me that there's no reality. Of course, I don't really want to do that, folks, but that's just a way to bring her to her senses. If it were legal, I might try it. Might try it. Might wake her up. Might show her that her perception is only reality. One can only wonder where Miss McLean got these bizarre thoughts from. Several clues that can assist the student in understanding her have been given by either her own revelations or from some articles that have appeared about her in the media. In her book entitled Out on a Limb, she wrote about her meetings with her married lover in her apartment. This God is breaking up somebody else's marriage, and she's meeting with her married lover in her apartment. She commented that he looked at her shelf of books on, amongst other subjects, Marxist theory, including a biography of Karl Marx. There's nothing wrong with that. I have those books in my library and many more. Many more. But knowing Shirley MacLaine, and folks, I do, knowing this scatterbrained twit, when she has books on Marxist theory, including a biography of Karl Marx, you can bet that she's a socialist. And of course she is. Parade magazine of December 18th, 1988 had an article on Miss McLean in which it revealed that her den had lots of framed pictures. Shirley with communist Fidel Castro and with communist Nikita Khrushchev, amongst others. The magazine reported how Shirley and her lover, quote, talked about democratic socialist principles and how it was possible to have them both at the same time if the rich would only share their wealth more. Elsewhere in her book, she wrote about how much of a hypocrite she was when she added this contradictory statement, and they all do, quote, wanted to talk to him about how I had made a lot of money and that it made me feel elite in a world that was broke to know I could buy just about anything I wished for, unquote. Just like Jane Fonda, who's been pushing for gun control for years, who was stopped by law enforcement officers on the freeway, and her car was found to contain many pistols and weapons, firearms. Hypocrites and liars. However, nowhere in her book did she say that she had freely donated any of her own wealth to the relief of the poor. Apparently, she believes that the communist ideas about wealth sharing are acceptable only as long as she does not have to share her wealth like she wants the other rich to do. You see, most rich purport to be socialist, but in actual practice, none of them really are. None of them would give away their wealth to the poor, ever. Yet they pretend to be liberal, socialist, Marxists. In reality, they demonstrate that they are exactly the opposite. They are liars and hypocrites. For the whole communist socialist idea is for the little people, you and I, who are to be their slaves in the New World Order. Miss McLean has since gone on a nationwide tour promoting her newfound religious views to the public. Newsweek magazine reported in 1987 that she had made a great deal of money explaining her new thoughts to others. Quote, since McLean began her tour in January 1987, more than 10,000 people in 15 cities have paid $300 admission fee, unquote. Well, you know me, folks. I have absolutely nothing against that. If she could have got $1,000 a head admission free, it would be okay with me. Now, 10,000 times 300 equals $3 million. I still have no complaint with that. This is the United States of America. If somebody wants it, give it to them. If they want to pay it, if they're that stupid, that's fine with me. I believe that people should be giving somebody something, though. But I also believe that if they're stupid enough to pay it, then they should be taken. That's how you learn. And a lot of people would disagree with me, but I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. That's what I believe. Obviously, Shirley's tours have proven to be both popular and lucrative. The Newsweek article on her seminar mentioned a little of what she teaches in them. The following are a few of her comments. Quote, the earth is moving off its axis, she says, and only the collective consciousness of mankind can right it. For the spiritually inclined, a window of light will appear on those days, August 16th and 17th, 1987, that McLean says will allow us to rise to a higher plane of cosmic understanding, unquote, pure bullshit, pure crap, pure new age mesmerism, if you will, for nothing happened on those dates. Evangelist McLean became Dr. McLean when she reported some of her new cures for two of the world's most serious medical problems, AIDS and cancer of the abdomen. According to the Newsweek article, she told her audience, quote, they, are those who paid to hear her in the 15 cities on the tour, all got to hear McLean's pronouncements on such subjects as AIDS. She thinks sufferers are sick because they have been bereft of love necessary to sustain the balance of health. And cancer. For cancer of the abdomen, she advises putting patients in a yellow room because yellow is the color frequency of that part of the body, unquote. More
Right to me.
new age mesmerism bullshit crap. And to think her patients only have...
Sorry, did you say something?
Oh, I was being a smartass.
Oh, you're good. All right, I'll go back to it.
to pay $300 for such wisdom. But Dr. McLean is not as dumb as one might think. The Newsweek magazine article reported, quote, everyone who attended had to sign waivers absolving the seminar's organizers from responsibility for psychological injury, unquote. How clever of Miss McLean. So someone in charge of arranging her seminars is aware that her ideas might cause psychological damage to those attending, and they have moved to protect her from malpractice lawsuits. Now, not only was this New Age evangelist making money on her personal lecture tours, she was also making money on her best-selling books. Now, I don't know what's wrong with A. Ralph Epperson. I don't know why he's saying this, because he purports to believe in the Constitution and the principles and ideals upon which this country was based, and there is nothing wrong with making money on anyone's personal lecture tours or on their books. And I can tell you right now that A. Ralph Epperson makes money on his lecture tours and on his books, and that's how he makes his living. So as far as I'm concerned, that is a partial discreditation of A. Ralph Epperson. As of July 1987, her book entitled Out on a Limb had sold 3 million copies, and her other major seller, Dancing in the Light, had sold 2.2 million. Could he be jealous? Is it possible that A. Ralph Epperson is jealous of Shirley MacLaine's ability to sell books? Time magazine reported that her 5 books on self-exploration and self-promotion have run to more than 8 million copies. Now, to me, that's admirable. If someone can write something that is so desirable by 8 million people that it sells 8 million copies, I don't care what they're writing about. That's admirable. She's providing an income for herself, her family, and people are obviously buying her books because they want them. Therefore, she's supplying them with a service. Whether it's bullshit or not, it doesn't matter. That's the American way, folks. That's what it's all about. There was a lot of people back in the early part of this century who hated automobiles, and therefore Henry Ford was the devil. But he sold an awful lot of them, and he came under the criticism of a lot of people for doing it. Sorry, folks, that's the American way.
He also had quite an affinity for Adolf Hitler, but just saying.
Well, yeah, that's aside.
Just a little bit.
As far as I'm concerned, what A. Ralph Epperson is spouting in these few sentences here is socialism. And I admire him for his research and what he's done. And I know that he makes his living selling books and lecturing. And for him to spout this socialist attitude when he is doing the same thing is not acceptable. And he is a friend of mine, and I will certainly bring this to his attention. You know, I read this book a long time ago, and I'd forgotten that he had said these things. But I certainly will bring it to his attention. In fact, we may talk about it on the air when he's a guest of this show, and he will be a guest of this show very shortly. So you can look forward to some kind of an explanation of this. He says it appears as if selling the New Age religion can be very profitable. Well, Barnum and Bailey was very profitable, and it was all an illusion, just like the New Age religion. But in summary, perhaps the most cogent comment about the battle between the New Age and the Christians was made by Nesta Webster in her book entitled Secret Societies. Quote, "The war now begins between the two contending principles, the Christian conception of man reaching up to God, and the secret society conception of man as God, needing no revelation from on high and no guidance but the law of his own nature. And since that nature is in itself divine, all that springs from it is praiseworthy, and those acts, usually regarded as sins, are not to be condemned." Unquote. You've heard me say before that in the New World Order, the law will be, "Do as thou wilt" shall be the whole of the law. And it will. The battle lines are drawn between those who believe in a creator God and those who believe that man can become God. These are the two opposing positions, and the battle between them, dear listeners, has most certainly begun. Now, don't get too upset over my criticism of the few paragraphs that A. Ralph Epperson wrote, condemning Shirley MacLaine's ability to write books and lecture and bring in a lot of money. For I'm sure that in his zeal, which many of us get carried away with, in his zeal to condemn the worship of Lucifer and the secret societies, he carried it a little bit too far, but we'll bring it up when he's a guest on the show. For I'm a little bit curious about it myself, but I haven't jumped off the edge. Let's put it that way. Good night, and God bless you all.
Damn it. Good night. No, we'll go further than that. Don't know why, but I'm going to do this. Just a reminder to everyone that I have not ever in my entire life and do not run my Twitter. So if you want to message me, please send me a message on Discord, because if you've ever sent me a message on Twitter, I have not responded to you because I do not run it. And it's in descriptions a long time ago, all the way back. So if you have a problem with contacting me on Twitter, it's because I don't run my Twitter at all. Never have. So again, if you care to go look, it's in descriptions until I stop doing descriptions, basically.
So I should
Unless it's
stop
this one.
adding you?
Yeah, stop adding me to shit, because I don't read it. I read everything on Discord. That's it.
Gotcha.
Well, that's how. I mean, everybody's always like, "You didn't respond to me on Twitter." Stingy finally started messaging me on Discord, which is nice, because then he would put it in side chat when we were talking. Because he's like, "I messaged you on Twitter." Well, no shit, because I don't run my Twitter at all, ever.
Well, I will remember that.
I use it to steal clips, basically, is about it. I do nothing else on Twitter. So, just as a PSA, if you're trying to get a hold of me, do it on Discord, because I don't read Twitter messages. Other than that, never have. Anyways, yeah, other than that, I don't know. I feel like we learned a lot about a lot tonight, and a lot about how much more deeply these people are embedded, and we can see a direct result of it in the way that our politicians and the way that people are acting and reacting right now.
Yep.
So, we can see it with our politicians. We can see it with world events. We can see it with all these things happening. There seems to be some kind of difference behind everything else. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what we do, and it's always the same one that I bring back. I don't know what to do to stop it. Like, I don't know how to change it. I don't know how to do any of that. Like, it feels like we're so far behind the 8 ball.
no matter what you believe, your best bet is always to try and make the changes you want in your direct life. So like when it comes to politics, we don't like the way our governments are going. We'll get in with your towns and cities, become a city councilor, that sort of thing, right? But
Right.
on a grander scheme of things, the best any human can do is the best they can do, right? We all try our best, and we're all gonna fuck up. It
Mhm.
happens. We're human. It's what we do with those fuck ups, how we learn and how we react is really all we can have control of. Everything else is, you know, out there. We have no control. And
Right.
then if you want to go a little bit more cosmically, those of us who believe in the Christian God, um, we know it's going downhill and it's going down fast. We expect it. We know that life is hard and we're going to be hurt, but as long as we keep faith that God's plan is true, and so far all proof we have says that God's plan is going exactly as He said it would. Um, but so yeah, we just have to have faith in Him and know that no matter how bad it gets in this life, um, it will be better in the
Yeah.
next one. So
Yeah, and I think the frustrating part is with your previous statement where you say, um try and run for local office, do that kind of stuff. That all takes so much time, such an incredible amount of time, that I don't know how we uh I don't know how we ever make it back, because if there's one thing that they are, it's well organized on their side, and
oh
they
yeah,
go 1, 2, 300 years and be the same damn mission. One, I don't have that kind of patience. Two, like, we don't have as much. We should. We probably should, but we come from different walks of life and have different viewpoints, so we don't have that much combined interest or combined. Um, and maybe that's where we start. We don't have the same combined uh, thought process and interest to be able to to be as sure with ourselves that this is the right pathway, or this is what we need to do, or like I said, there's always a boogeyman, so we always think there's a different enemy in a different place that we have to go. So
yeah. Well, at the end of the day, we can only affect change in our direct life.
right,
Um, if it's, and I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you there. I think honestly that we are the evil has so permeated the governments that it would take hundreds of years to start to reverse this plan that they have had going for thousands.
right,
It's our best bet is to do the best we can with the people we uh, interact with in our day-to-day lives. Um, you know, do the best we can and be the best people we can be. And that's all we can do. That's all we as humans have the power to do. We can choose to be good people or we can choose to be not good people. We can choose to be truly evil. We can choose to be hedonists. We can choose to think that we will become our own gods. We have that right. That's our free will. That's something that, from my perspective, God gave us, which was His way of proving to everyone um, that His plan worked without coercion.
right.
That all of this had to happen, but it worked out the way He said it was going to work out because we have the free will to choose, and we choose Him. We choose his way. And I think for people who don't necessarily have a God or a higher power, if there's nothing out there but a purple spaghetti monster, who cares? Do the will of your own heart. If your heart says it's fine to go out and kill people, so be it. But remember that you live in a world that has laws, and you gotta. It's like free speech, right? You have the right to say whatever you want, but someone else has the right to react to it by punching you in the mouth.
Exactly. Right.
So, it's the same thing. If you don't believe there's a God or a higher power, well, same rules apply. You can either choose to be a good person or a bad person, moral or immoral. It's up to you to choose.
Well, so here's my thought, and then it's kind of echoed by Amazing. Do you keep faith in humanity when everything falls apart? And I have faith in humanity, faith that humans will screw it all up. There are more assholes on this planet that make life difficult than there are good people that make things enjoyable. And even when you try to do your own thing, keep your head up, be positive, do all these things, and I don't think that any of these people are this mystery Babylon or anything. I think people are just selfish assholes for the most part. Yep. And I think there are an exorbitant amount of selfish assholes on this planet that make it increasingly difficult to just go through life, do your own thing, and not worry about or not have to encounter somebody being an asshole just because they're an asshole. So that's where I've lost faith in humanity, because I've dealt with humanity for 36 years now, and it doesn't ever get any better. The more I try to improve, and the more that I try to be a better person and try to take the high road, or do what's right, or continue down a path of and I'm not religious, this.
Yeah.
But towards a path of righteousness, it just gets harder and harder, because it seems like there are more assholes born every single day. I think that's and you can say that that's faith. And I don't know that I'd argue with you a ton. But for those of us who don't practice that, then it's incredibly difficult. It's incredibly difficult to continue down the path when you encounter far more people that are assholes, that are trying to be negative, or trying to destroy everything, than you do that are even like yourself. Just keep going through life and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if there is no God, if evolution is true, we're either going to evolve to a point where we're all assholes and it doesn't matter, or we're going to evolve into two separate species, right? The ones that follow moral, like an inner moral sense of right and wrong, that will have been bred out of those that choose to do evil. But I think that's an innate thing. Everyone born has an inner understanding of what is right and what is wrong, and it's whether we choose to listen to it or let it just get muted by the world. I let it get muted for a good long time with the booze and the alcohol and all sorts of stuff.
I mean, we see on news reports and stuff like that, people just robbing a store completely fucking blind, or the riots, or just being kind to somebody and doing something nice for somebody. Normally, one, is met with some kind of resistance even anymore, and two, it's so foreign that if we see like a fucking short on YouTube, we're like, oh my God, that's so great, because we're not used to seeing it. We're not used to seeing it. We're used to people just being assholes.
Well, I think, again, that comes to community, not necessarily the city or town you live in, but the people
Yeah.
you surround yourself with. We get one chance at this life, or if we get one chance at this life, some people think we get more, but if we only get one shot at it, we have to live it the way we think best, and that is our free will, whether it's God given or just, we've evolved to this point, but we know in our hearts, for each and every one of us, we know what's right and what's wrong, and it differs for each person. And I
Yeah.
guess, surround yourself with the people who are in agreement with you or a similar understanding with you. That's the best we can do. There is going to be more evil people than godly. Well, see, an evil and godly, that's not it. They say
I get what
the
you're
sign
saying.
of the sign of the beast, the mark of the beast, right?
Mhm.
At some point, there is going to be two people: those who have chosen God's path, or that moral perspective, and those who choose the opposite moral perspective. And we just need to group together with like-minded people and help each other get through it.
Yeah. And I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I get it. And I guess the faith part of it leaves kind of a hole. My concern is, like, for example, you have like a politician who just stands up there and lies about a surface-to-surface missile that strikes a children's hospital, and they know fuck well that came from the United States. Like,
Yep.
they know it came from the U.S.
Yeah.
So, I mean, something like that. Yeah, I guess that's evil. I couldn't think of a different one. But we have so many people that are just. I think the way that we went wrong, and I'm not perfect, but I try like hell to be at least somewhat decent on this point. Like, the selfishness thing just drives me fucking insane. Like how you have to be so goddamn selfish that you have to push your own narrative to be president and then run for your second term when the whole country can see you're not up to it. Or like, I mean, there can be different motives for everything, but again, like, oh, we have to provoke Russia so that we can do that thing. And selfishness, I think, is one of humanity's greatest downfalls. I think the lack of morals and moral standing, mixed with selfishness, is what's going to be destroying humanity, and that's unfortunate. So,
Well, selfishness is like a symptom of sin. It's
okay.
it's not the cause of sin, but it's definitely a symptom of it. Um, and at the end of the day, yeah, you can only do the best you can. If you don't have a God, then you're living for this life, and there's no further purpose or meaning after the fact, unless you believe in reincarnation and multiple lives. So
Mhm.
at that point, wouldn't you just be looking at, this is your one shot, this is your one off. You want to live the best life you can, and then it's up to you whether you think your best life is, being a good person, or being, more of a selfish person, and just making sure you have the creature comforts, the worldly comforts.
Right.
For me, I find worldly comforts in being able to help people. That's I don't need gold and jewels near as much as I need people around me who love me and whom I love, that can help me when I need it and whom I can help when they need it. We can celebrate the good stuff and mourn the bad stuff together. That to me is much more worthy. It's worth way more than all the treasure in the world. So
Right.
if there's no other purpose except this one life, then I guess you've got to decide what what is your treasure and go after it. YOLO.
Well, and then yeah, and like amazing. If you know your history, things haven't gotten as bad as they can be, and that's my fear because I'm like, fuck this shit, I'm out right now, and like we're a long way from the bottom. Like that's what I'm concerned with, is that it hasn't got as bad as it can be, or as bad as it's going to be, and that I think that's the most terrifying part is that we're probably not even close. We're not even probably halfway there, and I don't know. It's getting harder in business. It's getting harder in real life. It's getting harder everywhere to just be yourself, do your thing, and not have these major roadblocks or major bullshit to have to deal with. And that's on so many levels. And it's usually by somebody who's being an asshole or somebody who's being selfish or somebody who's being, like, again, Joe, like, the reason we're paying triple for fucking groceries is because he's an idiot and can't run the country. Like,
Yeah.
let's be honest. So
Yeah.
again, so like I'm, gas on my recent trip was about average $4 a gallon. Like that's fucking expensive. That's really expensive. And it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary that we all have to pay for other people putting themselves first. And it makes you want to corrupt yourself. And I don't know why I'm still in this side of it where I don't want to be corrupted, because I don't believe like you do. I don't have faith. I'm not trying to punch my ticket for the next one. I'm trying to make this one as good as it can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, that totally makes sense. And it's I mean, basically that's what we're supposed to do too. We're here. We need to make this life as good as we can, not just for ourselves, but with everyone around us. And I think that's the key difference is whether you believe in God or not, there are two types of people. There are the types of people who care about what happens to others and want to help each other, lift each other up. And there are the people who are in it for themselves and what they can get out of it. And unfortunately, yeah, it seems like there's a lot more of that second one than the first. But we have to remember, we all live all across the world, but we all keep bumping into people of like mind in these different chat groups. If we can find people of like mind in these chat groups, all is not lost. There are good people out there, and we just need to stay in contact and be, if we have to be the community, for each other, even if we cannot physically be there to help clean a person's house or mow someone's lawn or what have you, nurse them when they're sick. We still need to do that for each other as far as we can in these environments. That's the only way we have a good life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lift each other up.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to being unselfish, and not just when people are watching and when you're trying to be selfish, but trying to not be selfish. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're trying to make this grand escapade that you're perfect, like that kind of shit, because it's like, no, you're like, I think one of the most powerful things is what do you do when no one's watching, and that's, I think that's important. I think it's important when you're one-on-one with a person, or you're, when there's something, like when somebody drops their fucking groceries, do you stand there and laugh at them, or do you help them pick them up and grab a new bag? Like that kind of shit. And I think the scale has tipped to people just laughing at the person or continuing about their day because it's inconvenient for them to have to grab them a second bag. And it doesn't matter if the lady's 70 or if the lady's 20. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. Help out. It takes you 2 seconds. You feel better about yourself. So let me tell you. So I'll tell you a quick story. So Brian, mostly black Brian, myself, and then some others played later, but it was just Brian and I. So we were playing Sea of Thieves because we started playing that again.
I saw that. Yeah.
Brian had shot a 4-year-old, and we sunk their boat. We didn't know they were 4. We didn't know he was 4. It was a 4-year-old kid playing with his dad. Right?
Okay.
All right. So we found this out after. So we came in fucking gangbusters, blew their shit to pieces. Brian shot the kid in the head. And in a video game, YouTube, fuck off.
Yes.
And we immediately felt bad. Because we could hear after we had attacked, you can hear the in-game chat or whatever. So instead, we started chatting with them, and Brian and I felt really bad. And instead, we went and got their boat, brought it back, gave them all our treasure, told them our bad, and had just talked to them and tried to help them learn the game so it maybe didn't happen again next time. Park your boat here, play this mode, so on and so forth. But we gave him all of our shit on our boat, which wasn't much, but the kid was fucking ecstatic, and we made him feel bad because Brian shot him in the face. And so it's little shit like that. Like, yeah, would I have like the 10 grand worth of treasure on my boat? Fuck yeah. Would have loved to, because when we played the afternoon sesh, the boys kind of made it very expensive to repair my custom boat, and that would have went a long ways. But it's about and that's something that's stupid and is little, and nobody gives a shit. Like it doesn't matter maybe in the grand scheme of things, but that's what I'm talking. Just like, dude, like just make somebody's day one time, instead of trying to be an asshole and just, roll the boat and then laugh at the kid. That's the kind of shit that I'm talking about. And I don't say that to, again, pat myself on the back. Like I just say that because that's what happened. Like it's exactly what happened.
That's kind of, you can see it in video games quite a bit, what you're saying. There's, probably 2/3 of the people in any given game world are in it for themselves, maybe in it for themselves and a friend if they're playing with a group. But for the most part, it's, you get in there and you take what you can and you kill everything in sight and you go. It's about getting the most possible. The other third are the ones that help each other, And DayZ, it's ridiculous. 9 times out of 10, you bump into someone and they're going to kill you before anything else happens. But that 10th time, you meet a dude and you're able to, share a little knowledge or, maybe some food for a weapon or whatever. And you get a really awesome experience. And at the end of the day, life is nothing but a collection of experiences. And I know I get the warm fuzzies when I can help someone do something. Whereas I don't get the warm fuzzies when I go and, buy a bunch of stuff. For me, I've never been out for myself and nothing but the highest of quality. That being said, I am a very selfish person, and I fight with that. All the time. But
at least
there's those two people. There's those people who know and feel bad and do something about it, and there's those people who know and don't give a shit.
Right. And to be fair and to rebuke what Linda's saying, that I'm an old softy, no, I'm not. Generally, our method is if we see somebody fishing away from their boat, which means they're not engaged in combat. You guys watch us play the game.
Yeah.
Fishing away from their boat, not engaged in combat, have nothing to do with us, have nothing to do with, like, they are no threat whatsoever. We will sneak up and we will destroy their entire lives and not even feel bad about it. It was just this one time where it was like, it meant more that the kid, he learned a lesson about, the game. They're asshole people, but there's also some decent people left in the world. And I think that's important, to be decent every once in a while. Like, not every day. You don't have to. So
Well, that's
his
exactly it,
avatar was
though.
not a little kid. Amazing. Fuck off.
That's what I was thinking. That like 20-something dude who does a little kid voice.
No, this was definitely a little kid and his dad, and it was just, I don't know. It made you feel good because the kid got his treasure. He got to see what it meant to get sunk, and all that
Well,
kind of shit.
exactly.
So
He was able to experience the honest truth of the game.
Yeah.
This is going to happen, and you're going to have to restart and do it again. But
Yeah.
he also got to see that there are nice people out there.
Yeah.
And that's something. The game will come and go, but I'm sure those are the little moments that people remember that affects them later in life.
Yeah.
So
and I amazing. So and that's just one of the, again, it's not about me because it doesn't need to be. It's more about the fact that I feel like we're lacking those kind of moments, and those moments don't happen as frequently or as I don't want another word frequently. There's a word I'm looking for, but I can't find it. They don't happen like they should.
Well, I think at the end of the day, it's a lot like miracles. All these little good moments happen. Miracles happen every day. We're just not seeing them because we are not aware. It's like we've got blinders on. We're being so bombarded by all the awfulness in the world. We sometimes forget to see the good, or else we see the good, but we get used to it, so it doesn't impact us like it should. So
Well, I think the other part of that is there's such a, like, we have, I think this is another significant part of it. Amazing. Like, his dad was cool too. Like, you would have had to been there to understand. Like, this was legit a little kid. But this was so odd too, because we normally don't give a shit. We normally don't listen. Like, we'll listen if we try and taunt them or troll them or do something like that. But generally, we don't even, like, we sink you, we steal your shit, and we're out. Like, this was just like the perfect come together of, like, damn, what do we kind of feel bad about this, and we should do something different. So I guess my advice is take a second. Take a second. I mean, the world is, and I think this means so much to me, and there's so many different levels on this that this makes sense. But, like, I just took a trip to a very gorgeous place in this great nation, and you have to take a second and take it in and realize what's around you, realize what's going on, and both good and bad, like good situations and bad situations, and take time to evaluate what the hell's going on instead of moving on to the next thing, instead of overreacting, instead of trying to spin it, and instead of trying to, don't be so damn reactive. Take your time. Like, take your time. Take in life. Life is odd. Life is beautiful. Yes, OG. Take it in. Take it in the back door. I don't give a shit. Like, who am I to judge? But yeah, take it. I mean, take life in, because life is strange. Life is funny, and I think if we actually took some time and paid some attention to some things, and instead of trying to, and often it's we're trying to enrich ourselves or benefit ourselves, that we don't reflect on or take our time or misidentify or misconstrue or that any of the other possible scenarios or outcomes for an action. And I think that's unfortunate. I truly do.
Yeah. Well, it's that TikTok mentality. Everything has to happen in a minute or less, or 30 seconds or less. And everything has to be reacted to.
Yeah.
And instantly. You can't, no one looks up from their screens anymore. Everyone's so busy with whatever's going on online that people forget that in real life is is real life, you know.
Well,
It's
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no,
I mean, cut you off.
you go ahead. I was just, yeah, it's real life, and we got to look at what's really happening out there and be aware of the good things as they happen, because it's easy to just ignore or not notice them, you know.
Right. Or the bad things. Maybe they aren't as bad as you think they are.
Yeah.
You know, if you just take a second and gather some basic information about a situation. But that's one of the things that I do personally is I just took 3 weeks. You guys all know I talk to you guys all the time. I was fucking nowhere to be found for 3 weeks. I didn't have a device with me. I think I posted 2 shorts. Like maybe
I
3.
got them.
Yeah. Like I was not on a device at all. Most of the time I didn't have any form of service, and we'll get into that. I finally got the pictures in a fucking slideshow, so I'll get to that probably tomorrow. But
Oh, nice.
But yeah, and that's why I have a place up north where I don't get cell phone service, because then I can take a week in the summer and just fucking turn everything off, and I don't have to. It's a good reset. Like the go touch grass meme is true. Like
It's real.
It's real.
Yep.
So, and I saw an interesting article, and completely sidetracked from, but I saw an interesting article that this generation, mine and kind of your generation, where they kind of meet. We were the first ones that basically grew up with the internet, and we're starting to see some of the negative effects of how bad the internet actually is. And I'll always say, and truthfully say, that the internet is the worst thing we've probably ever done. Like it can be used for good, but I think it's mostly evil, personally. But
I think it's a double-edged sword. I think it's just a matter of how it's used, as with anything else. You know, the gun isn't evil; it's how it's used. It can bring you food, or it can take a life. You know, it's
true.
It's going to exist. Humans communicate. That's what we do best. We talk to each other and we tell each other things, and sometimes we lie and sometimes we tell the truth, but we have to communicate. And one way or another, we humans, we're going to figure out a way to talk to the people on the other end of the world. You know,
Right.
It was going to happen. So I think all in all, the internet as it is, I think it could have been a lot worse. I think we're headed in that direction quickly, but I also think if this censorship, like I'm a Canuck, I mean, I'm in Canada, so censorship is way worse here than it is in America, for example. But
I'm
if
trying to catch up.
yeah, you're doing a job. You're getting there. But if it gets to that point that my government wants it to be, people are just going to find a way to get onto the deep web or the dark web or the whatever. You know, we'll go back to CB radios or something. Humans have to communicate. Now that we've started reaching out across the world, we're not going to stop. You know?
Yeah.
So
You can't unring the bell. Like it's always going to be there. So.
Yeah. Now that I know you exist over there, I'm going to want to chat with you.
Yeah. Same up in the true north, strong and free there.
Hell yeah.
But so yeah, I thought that was I saw the sun set beyond the Black Hills, and it made a lasting impression on me. I realized why the Indians considered it a secret. Well, it was so. Yeah, well, I'll do like a 5-second. So it was pretty incredible. I did get the opportunity to go to Little Bighorn, where my people totally kicked what's his name's ass, and caused them to come down and destroy the entire native civilization, basically, that was in the area.
Oh yeah, that guy with the raccoon hat, right?
Yeah, but for one day, we won.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters sometimes. I thought this was let's see if I can do this without fucking it up. I like this picture. see if I can. Speaking of Black Hills, Mount Rushmore was smaller than I thought. Again, I'll get into it. And obviously we didn't get as far as I would have liked to, which was unfortunate, but we'll talk about that as well. But this was one of my, and I didn't realize it until I got home that I had taken this picture, but I kind of like this picture. Yeah. Oh, fuck you. Why do you make things so small? I don't know why it's so small.
Oh, that's weird.
Oh, okay. So I'll have to figure out a new way to do it. But it's basically Washington through this crack. So
Yeah.
that's George Washington up there.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But yeah, I just thought it was neat. It kind of, it was kind of cool. But so there's a lot of stuff that I took.
It's an amazing undertaking. I saw some photos recently, including a photo of a dude just hanging by a rope, sitting on a rope swing sort of thing, carving those figures.
Yeah.
and it's insane. The scope is astounding, and the balls on these people
Yeah.
doing stuff like this, just insane. But that's what makes humans so amazing and so wonderful. Is we look at something and we go, oh, we could do this, and it doesn't matter how big or how crazy, we're gonna keep trying it until we do it.
Yes, I did see Sitting Bull. So we went, like I said, I'll do that tomorrow, because I know people have asked and are interested, and I don't want to take any more time tonight, but because I already put together the fucking show, the slideshow. So but yeah, we did 6,700 miles in 20 days. We spent some time at the cabin on either end, but Sitting Bull is the native, one of the native chiefs that were at Little Bighorn, and it's pretty close. I think it was 15-20 miles from Rushmore, thereabouts.
Okay.
So it's all pretty close to the same spot. So, but yeah, just kind of incredible, kind of neat area. North Dakota sucks, but we'll get into that too. God, fuck, I would never go to North Dakota ever again in my entire life, ever.
I'll keep that in mind.
Sorry, North Dakotans, but you fucked up. Okay, so why we're just sitting here.
Okay.
Oh, it does. That's cool. So Rumble Studio has a like a monetization thing, but you have to like put it on the stream, which is weird. Okay. And I don't know if I just did it, but yeah, it's there. So 1775 coffee, but now it's gone. I don't know what the hell that means. So now I'm gonna have to remember to do that shit from time to time, but it should be there.
Interesting. So it's just like something you got to embed in the video at some point.
So it just came up on the left side. So
I saw it. It was almost like a QR code almost.
Yeah. So apparently I just got $2 for throwing that QR code up there. So fuck yeah.
Nice. I tried to subscribe to you on Rumble, and again it forced me to do it on Locals. So don't feel like you need to put stuff on Locals, but that's where you're getting my money.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Fuck, I also don't run my Locals for what it's worth. I haven't done that in a really long time either. I think I have one video. You get the money from it though,
right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. I think I've done one video on Locals. Possibly. I don't remember. Locals is weird. Apparently you can stream from Rumble to Locals though. So I have to look at
Oh.
both, but
Yeah. That's
My
way over
Native
my
American-
tech.
my Native American wife married a white man, even though she had her reservations.
Aha. My
How did you
native
think of that
name
one, OG?
is sitting baloney. OG is he's like the king of puns and dad jokes. He always comes in with the dirty dad jokes too.
I think you missed the on in the translation. Trust me, I'm native, so I can translate. OG butt stuff translates to sitting on baloney.
Ah, haha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
It's a nuance, but yeah, I can see
yeah,
where that would
yeah.
be important.
Right. It's like yeah, you want to make sure you get it right. You don't want to give the wrong impression, So
Yes.
but we've kind of went everywhere tonight. As always, thank you so much everybody for stopping by, watching, and hitting that thumbs up button on your way out. Tomorrow I'll definitely do the catch up on kind of where we went and that our vacation stream type of deal. We'll be back here next Tuesday for, I think,
Yep.
for continuing with the Bill Cooper thing. Probably, I think Thursday I'm out of town, so I won't commit to that. Friday we'll probably play Sea of Thieves again because we're starting to get back into it. And then I want to get back into the Epstein drop, so that will come at some point, probably Thursday if I get home in time. So
all right,
we'll see. But yeah, until next time, as always, I appreciate you all, and I hope everyone has a wonderful evening.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.